peaceful and functioning democracy. And well,
but they haven't
claimed us, and we see that by the number of heads of states who came to witness the transition. So please, let us not destroy that image, that enviable image that we have carved for ourselves, the rest of the world, as a beautiful, functioning democracy. I am pleading with all sides. As you can see, we would have continued, but logistically, it is no longer possible to continue. Logistically, the microphones have all been destroyed. And you know that with the microphones destroyed, it will be difficult for the media to carry the proceedings live on their various stations. They may carry the image, but they cannot carry the voice. And vetting is about assessing and evaluating the nominee. As it is now, we in this room may be able to assess, evaluate them by hearing them, but the rest of the country will not be able to do that.
These people are already scared.
The technical staff have closed and they have gone home. And so there's no way, even if they were here, the distraction of some of the machines here
will use their salary to maintain this thing.
So for that reason, it is practically impossible to continue with the vetting. So I am pleading with all sides. That we should bring proceedings.
Leader, let's continue.
And tomorrow, given that the facilities here have been destroyed, by morning we will designate a new location within the House to continue with the vetting of the nominees. But before I end, let me caution everybody that, you see, all of us have supporters out there. All of us need to satisfy our supporters. And so when we are vetting, let's make good use of the time allocated to us so that we can be efficient, we can vet as many people as possible so that we can have the ministers at the various ministries functioning and delivering on the commitments that Ghanaians endorsed at the polls by the way they voted. So I am pleading with members of the committee. And I will have discussions with my colleague, the minority leader, so that we can come to some conclusion on the time allocation and how long it will take to
leader is talking.
Please, I'm pleading with you.
We should continue.
Because what we have done today, we have seriously damaged our reputation as a parliament. We have seriously damaged our reputation.
Leader, let's continue.
It will take us a lot of effort to redeem ourselves. But I know that Ghanaians can forgive and they will forgive us.
We should continue.
Going forward, let us be decent when we are doing the vetting. It is not right to spend 3 hours, 4 hours.
Let's continue. We should finish with those who are here.
It is not right. It provokes a lot of people. I'm not saying we shouldn't ask many questions, but let's be moderate in our approach. I can understand.
Leader, let's continue. Let's finish with those who are here. All these long talks will not help.
Continue, even though today you have done so well. Indeed, today you had scheduled to vet 3 people.
Leader, let's continue.
You agreed among yourselves and then made it 4. Then you agreed among yourselves and you extended it to...
They should let's vet this one second.
Unfortunately,
He's just taking time for
developments
nothing.
now
Let's
makes
continue
it
with this.
difficult to renew and implement the agreement.
No, without this, we can do it. This thing is for us.
We're ending proceedings.
Outsiders didn't know about us. Let's continue.
Well, for those who missed the chaos or probably went to bed very early on Thursday night, that was just to give you an idea of what happened, which has been described as the shame of this 9th Parliament and essentially the blot on our democracy. That is what got the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Suman Akinfo-Bagbin, to suspend 4 members of Parliament after that chaotic incident during the Thursday night appointment committee sitting. Now, tensions flared as we've seen, and we're showing you right now, when the minority demanded a rescheduling of the vetting to yesterday, Friday, January 31, arguing that the day's proceedings had been disrupted. The majority firmly opposed that request, insisting the vetting continues as planned. That disagreement escalated into the chaos, with some minority members resorting to breaking the table there, microphones being destroyed in an attempt to prevent any further sitting or vetting that night. Now, the suspension of Nelson Dapia-Mekpo, Frank Anodompre, Al-Hassan Suleimana Tampoli, and Jerry Ahmed Shaib, that's yesterday by the Speaker, for 2 weeks. They'll be barred from entering Parliament until further notice. In fact, the police investigation has been ordered, and the Parliamentary Committee will investigate the matter, with findings due in 2 weeks. The suspended MPs will also bear the costs of the damages deducted from their salaries. That is, if after investigations, whoever is found culpable there. The Speaker has assured the public, all of us, that Parliament is committed to upholding some integrity in the midst of everything. But this morning, the conversation we're having is, after this, what you are seeing right now, what's your own view and assessment of the Appointments Committee's work? And yesterday, the minority boycotted about 6 vetting sessions because of a matter that the minority leader, Alexander Apenyomakin, raised, which we will get into this morning as well. But stay with us here on Key Point. This matter is of serious concern to us because on Key Point, so the key issues that are of concern to you that we talk about in the interest of you and I, the Ghanaian people. The controversial political activist Oliver Bakavoma was before the Appointments Committee as well this week. He is not an appointee or a nominee, but he had some time with the Appointments Committee. He apologized to that committee for accusing them of demanding money, bribes from ministerial nominees before granting their approval after being vetted. Well, there are many who are saying that beyond this apology, Parliament should be concerned, just like what the Speaker has done right now. Parliament should be concerned beyond just his apology to institute some form of investigation into this, because this is not the first time this Appointments Committee is being accused of bribery. And some have made reference to their conduct to justify why there should be an investigation beyond just apology. Because the first 2 times that this committee was accused of bribery, it was by their own members of Parliament. It is only this time that someone outside of Parliament is accusing this committee of bribery. So, would they consider that? It's a conversation that we'll have this morning here on Key Point. So, stay with us. Also, this morning here on Key Point. We are applying our minds to matters related to state lands and the law surrounding or around the matter of the acquisition of state lands and whether there should be a review of that particular law. We will talk about it. This week we saw the discontinuation of some high-profile cases by the Attorney General. Stay with us on Key Point. We'll tell you why some lawyers are saying that the judiciary should be insulated from the executive in its pursuit to hound its opponents when there is a change in government. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Welcome to Key Point. This is the place to be. My guests will be joining me in the next 5 minutes. We'll have the conversation. But before that, I will show you something after this quick break. Stay with us.
This is Hot Issues, your passport to the most compelling conversations of our time. We go one-on-one with the movers and shakers, the thought leaders, and the game changers. We ask the questions that matter, and we don't back down.
Tonight on Hot Issues, I sit with the man at the Center of Corruption Investigations.
Join me on Hot Issues here on TV3.
Hot Issues shows Sundays at 2 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
This is the show that brings finality to all the critical issues. It is the stage where all the facts are checked, issues thoroughly interrogated, opinions shaped, and debates settled. But over here, we do more than just talk. We resolve problems. We hold those in power accountable. We address all the key happenings in society, from politics to health to education to everything you deem important. And we will center the voice of the ordinary Ghanaian. This is the show that sets the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news. In a world where every moment counts, one team stands ready to deliver the news that shapes our lives. A team driven by truth, integrity, and unwavering dedication. They travel to the front lines in the tireless pursuit of truth to bring you the world stories like never before. Get ready to witness the stories that matter. We have the most trusted voices in journalism who are committed to delivering accurate, balanced, and thought-provoking news. TV3, first in news.
We're still here to bring you uplifting stories, and this week on today's
someone labeling you as crazy, first of all, is disrespect. And you mention 3 or 5 times a word and you become the word.
What are some of the things that when you see your colleague do, you should tell your HR that this one needs mental assessment?
So they'll hit on the table, they'll throw the documents on you for nothing, blaming you for nothing, shouting on you.
Confessions shows this Saturday at 10 p.m. only on TV3.
The wait is over. Season 2 of Top in Turn is here, and the journey to find the next big star is already heating up. We called out to fresh graduates from top schools across the nation, and they answered in droves. This week, the competition kicks off with an intense aptitude test to challenge their mental sharpness, followed by face-to-face screenings with our esteemed faculty. Who will make it to the final 12? The road to greatness begins now. Catch the thrilling first episode of Top Intern TV3.
Top Intern Season 2 premiering Sunday, 2nd February at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Tampico.
The news never stops. If it's not breaking, developing, the news lends itself to significant analysis, broad context through explainers, and the features that give stories more life. That's what we offer on Weekend Central. News, features, analysis, the full package. Weekend Central, Saturdays and Sundays at 12 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Cash out, oh, cash out. My name is Yawa Sama and I am the winner of the MG jackpot. You heard me right? I've been playing this for quite some time now and then I decided to play again. And then I said, okay, let me just play 3 times. And then I did. Oh my God, I was watching. In fact, my eyes were fixed on the screen because I just wanted to see my number displayed that I have won. And then boom, my number appeared on the screen. I'm telling you, I am the winner of the cash prize. If you want to be a winner like me, just pick your phone, dial *439# and then you could win an amazing cash just like me, maybe even bigger than mine. So see you on the flip side. Po, 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 po.
Ghana as one of the most beautiful and functioning democracies. The Ghana Parliament remains an envy of many parliaments. We've had an election that was so beautiful, the losing side conceded, and the whole world acclaimed us, and we see that by the number of heads of states who came to witness the transition. So please, please, let us not destroy that image, that enviable image that we have carved for ourselves, the rest of the world, as a beautiful, functioning democracy. I am pleading with all sides. I am pleading with all sides. As you can see, we would have continued, but logistically, it is no longer possible to continue. Logistically. The microphones have all been destroyed. And you know that with the microphones destroyed, it will be difficult for the media to carry the proceedings live on their various stations. They may carry the image, but they cannot carry the voice. And vetting is about assessing and evaluating the nominee. As it is now, we in this room may be able to assess and evaluate them by hearing them, but the rest of the country will not be able to do that.
These people are already seated.
The technical staff have closed and they have gone home. And so there's no way, even if they were here, the distraction of some of the machines here cannot be easily replaced tonight. So for that reason, it is practically impossible.
The following emergency measures are to be taken with dispatch. 1. The circumstances of the absence of a Privileges and Immunity Committee. In that circumstance, a 7-member special committee shall be constituted under Orders 5 and 20, Rule 4, to conduct a full-scale investigation into the events of yesterday and this morning. The committee shall identify all members involved in the disorder and submit its report with findings and recommendations within 10 days from today. Any member found culpable shall face the appropriate disciplinary actions as prescribed by the Constitution 1992, the Parliament Act of 1965, and the Standing Orders of Parliament. This does not absolve the chairman of the Appointments Committee from performing his duty under Order 268, Rule 3. Pursuant of Section 10 of the Parliamentary Service Act 1993, Act 460, I direct the Clerk to Parliament to cause to be undertaken a full assessment of all damage caused within the committee room and parliamentary presence as a result of the misconduct of the members. Not a single peso of public funds shall be used to repair or replace any damaged property. Instead, members found responsible shall be surcharged for the full cost of repairs and replacement. In pursuance of the provisions of the Constitution 1992 and the Standing Orders of Parliament, I further direct the Clerk to Parliament to formally lodge a complaint with the Ghana Police Service to conduct a full criminal investigation into the matter for appropriate action. Consequently, the following members are suspended from the sittings of Parliament for 2 weeks from today. 1 and 2, the 2 chief whips, in the persons of Mr. Roxon Nelson Eche, Kwame Dafiemapo, and Mr. Frank Ano Dompre. 3, Mr. Alasan Suleimana Tampuli. And 4, Mr. Jerry Ahmed Shaib. As a matter of urgency, and to set up the Standing Orders Committee to reconsider a revision of the rules for the assessment of nominees for the consideration and approval by the House.
Well, so that what you saw Frank Anodompre leaving the chamber there after the Speaker of Parliament issued those emergency measures ordered and the suspension of those 4. Now, this is it. These are the measures outlined by the Speaker yesterday. A 7-member committee to investigate and submit findings within 10 days. Clerk to Parliament to assess damages, and MPs responsible will bear the cost. They will bear the cost of the destruction that we saw. And the Clerk to Parliament has been directed to file a complaint with the Ghana Police Service for further investigation. Committee of Selection, they're going to restructure the Appointments Committee and revise rules for nominee assessments. And this is also one that has been pointed as a major issue. The rules for the assessment, the vetting of nominees. Those rules must be clearly stated so that, as we have seen, you have one vetting taking 6 hours and over, as we saw in the case of Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, and 5 hours with Sam George, and then 8 minutes for the Greater Accra Regional Minister designate. Some say even 5 minutes if you take out the introduction and everything that went on. So there must be rules. In fact, there's always been rules. At least this week, the Speaker reiterated that. But why is it the case? And it appears that some of you say, look, this whole vetting has become a charade. The committee members, they know who they want to grill, quote unquote, and they know who they want to just pass without asking questions. But is that really what it is all about? When you're going for a job interview to serve the nation, it appears that there's one nominee that the committee will say, you know, we want to squeeze this person, and the others, we will spend 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and then discharge them, or even less. Why is that? How come the rules don't apply? We'll find out. Also, the 4 MPs that have been suspended, we do know them. These are the MPs. And we'll have a conversation on this. But aside from everything they are going to be subjected to, in terms of the suspension, they're also going to bear the cost. That's after investigation. Those we saw raising the table, breaking it, destroying the microphones, there are videos for the police or the committee that the Speaker has set us to be able to assess. We have some of the videos as well. We can help them with it. But take a look at this. Well, and this and other videos I'll be showing you as we go on here on Key Point. But if you're joining us, welcome. Joining me in the studio is a former General Secretary of the NPP and also now a senior advisor to Alan Chamantain in the 2024 elections. That's Nana Oheninto. Nana, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred.
It's good to have you, as always. Let me also welcome Madame Susan Edu Amankwa, Executive Secretary, National Interest Movement. Madam, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. Happy New Year. This is the first time I'm seeing you this year. Nana, I've seen him this year already.
Really happy with him.
Fantastic. This is your first time on the show, is it not?
Yes.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Super. Also joining us is Martin Pebu. He's a private legal practitioner. He is a member of the Operation Recover or Loot Preparatory Team, Oral. Counsel, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Mr. Ocansey. It's good to be here once again, you know. Ghana's most watched show, right? 17 months and counting. Yeah, we are number one. We've been topping the charts for 17 months and counting. Yeah, so we should be happy. I mean, we're doing a good job here. That's how democracy would thrive, that citizens are allowed to speak their minds. Of course, we are also careful of the boundaries that the law has put in place. So we should be very happy. So once again, of course, before I greet Gamanche, Kentucky, Teku the second, today I want to start with Minta Kando and the other farmers of Ghana. You know, Minta Kando's vetting. Turned out that he's a big farmer, right? Yes, that touched my heart. Yeah, so Honorable Minta Kando, yes, shout outs to you. Good morning. may you continue to farm more and more. May your farms triple, because I say it's doing 5,000 acres of rice this year, 5,000 acres. Because you see, the point is that the way unemployment is a big problem in Ghana, now we are at 14.7, right? By the time the NDC were leaving, they say it was 8 point something. But right now, the figure we are dealing with now is 14.7 by the Ghana Statistical Service. So, but we have no reason to be hungry. We have no reason to continue to import food. You remember when Akufo-Addo was coming, the reason we voted for him? So you change the structure of the economy. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia will no longer do so much importation, right? We're going to farm here. We're going to do so much here locally. And yet, by the time they were leaving, what's the verdict? Everything is increased. I mean, most of them. So my point is that if an MP farms this much, we should laud him, and everything should be done to support people like this so that they can create more jobs. And you remember also the president of the Republic, JM himself, soon after the elections, he went to his farm, and then there was a video on social media. You remember before the election, one of the things I had said was that, for 8 years, I'd never seen Akufo-Addo on a farm, I'd never seen Bawumia on a farm, and that was a big minus, especially for Bawumia, who comes from the north, where generally it's said that, oh, a lot of people farm. Yeah, I have relations, people who have been retired, etc., who are still farming. Okay. You see, so let's continue to shout, allow people like Menta Akando and others who are farmers so that they can continue and increase their prospects so that more youth can get employment, and so we'll reduce unemployment. Right. So once again, good morning again to Kintaki Teku Churu II, Garman Chair. That's the Commander General for the matter of justice in the Sicily Adapa matter. Good morning to former Chief Justice Sofa Ekufu, and also good morning to Doma Hini. Of course, let's not forget to remind Auditor General Johnson Ekwiyamwe that the 52.5 billion matter, we need to get to the bottom of it. The 52.5 billion that left GCB Bank and went to unknown sources. We need to get to the bottom of that matter. That money is a lot more than what we borrowed from the IMF. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Counsel. Thank you very much. But with the preparatory team's work, will any loot be recovered? Does it look like you can recover any loot, so-called?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. That one is there are low-hanging fruits that you see that even at this preparatory stage, as you mentioned, we don't have the mandate to do vigorous investigations and prosecution, right? We are just gathering evidence. And even at this gathering stage, you see that based on some of the petitions that we saw, straight away we reported to the police and national security, and they were able to take action. So you see that yesterday at Honorable Ablakwe's vetting, they were able to show that we saved 20 bungalows that were about to go down in cantonments. 20 bungalows, and if you look at the lands, those are millions of dollars, not Ghana cedis. Yeah, because they were about to demolish and do some transactions that are not on. Okay, so we've halted, through the actions of national security and the police, those have been halted. So those are some of the fruits of the preparatory team. You remember the NDA matter too? Yes, the NDA to the wall, the partition of that land, etc., sold to private developer. You see that we went and then reported to national security, and they too, using police, they were able to do the needful, and so those were halted. There are other things. You remember the agric mechanization land. Yes, those empty plots there, who is going to build on them? No, they are not going to be built. So those ones who, that's land that's being recovered for the state. So that you will see a lot more. In fact, you will see a lot more, just even for the preparatory team. Because once we are citizens, we are allowed to report. If we see anything wrong, we are allowed to report. And so the police and national security can take action in the interim. Yes. I keep telling you that, not just you, I keep making the point that I think that the setting up of the constitution by, the setting up of the committee by JM is a master stroke. Yeah, that much, I believe so. Because you see that if we hadn't started this early, what would have happened is that by the time the government settles, a lot of bad stuff would have gone through. So with the early setting up of the committee, you see that it served as a check, at least to some extent. It cannot be 100% perfect, but it's a reasonable check. So this committee is actually a master stroke.
I see. In fact, I would spend a little time on this oral preparatory team as we go on the show, and because from what we got earlier, what this essentially means is that your work has come to an end with the appointment of the Attorney General. And so the indication that Samalokujeto Ablakwa gave yesterday was that you were putting your report together to submit to the president, correct?
Yes, yes.
In the coming days?
Well, practically now, it doesn't look like it's in the coming days, maybe in the coming weeks. Yesterday, we were billed to meet the Attorney General, Dr. Ayeni. But because of the vetting, you know, Honorable Ablakwa was scheduled to be vetted on Thursday.
Yes.
Then yesterday, Friday, would have met the Attorney General. But because the vetting couldn't come on Thursday, and it had to be done yesterday, then the meeting got cancelled. So we'll have to meet the Attorney General first before we meet the President. So maybe we should say in the coming weeks.
In the coming weeks?
Yes.
Okay. But then you maintain that you received 1,000 or near 1,000 petitions.
Yeah, let's correct this. Some of them are information. Not petition. So what some of them are is that somebody will send an email that, hey, watch this institution, X, Y, Z. There's something ongoing. Some huge payments are being made. Or that. So that is not necessarily a petition. The petitions generally are the ones that the person has details and can show some specifics of wrongdoing. But we are not underestimating the importance of the leads. Those are important because when you get some of those, then you can inform the appropriate institutions to, you know, also look into those. So we are very, 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 very grateful for the leads, the tapes, the petitions, etc.
We'll get into it here on Cape Point. Let me also welcome a public and economic policy analyst. Is a member of the One Ghana movement. They've issued a statement on what happened a couple of days ago. Senor Jose, Senor, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good to see you and Happy New Year.
Many, many happy returns. Good to see you as well. Daniel Yao Demelevo, former Auditor General, member of this oral preparatory team, is also going to be joining us shortly. So we have this conversation. So stay with us here on Key Point. But, Council, you were there when this chaos happened, right, at the Appointments Committee?
Yes, but I was standing outside.
Outside?
Yeah, it was too warm inside. And so even before we come into the details, I think that they should stop using that particular conference room or whatever they call it for the vetting. It's too small, too small. That night, look, some of the ACs were not working. The moment you enter, within 5 minutes, you start sweating profusely. It was serious. And I was wondering how people sat in there for hours before I got it. You could even see sometimes some MPs and others with small fans fanning themselves. Listen, that's a death trap, to be very, very honest with you. That particular facility is a death trap to the extent that it takes too many people than the ACs, etc. And so the Speaker and his people have to realize that our democracy is still a transitional one to some extent. We are not quite there. The point I'm making is that, so even for vetting, a lot of party faithfuls want to attend. So it should be done in a very commodious place, a place where you can have up to 1,000, attendees. Give them the opportunity, because we've been saying all this is that the more you get citizens interested in participating, then the better the outcomes. So if they want to come and watch the vetting, don't take it that, oh, what is vetting? They should stay home. No, they want to come physically. So I'm begging Mr. Speaker, henceforth, they shouldn't do vetting in that room. It's too small. Yesterday, they kept shutting out a lot of people. Can you imagine that? Even so, because of what happened on Thursday night, yesterday, initially, they said they would allow in only 10 guests. So each minister should enter with only 10 guests. But you look at even one chief. When you invite one chief, his linguist, etc., the other people in the retinue, you are going to exhaust 10. So I think that, respectfully, Mr. Speaker and the other management of the Parliament House, they should look at it again. Make it happen in a place where everybody who wants to attend can attend. If we were to make it in a place where a place that can seat 1,000 people, hopefully it shouldn't. We shouldn't have such overcrowdedness and etc.
Well, this is what we have right now, and this chaos that we saw. In fact, the chaos started way before it got into the conference room itself, because we also observed that the door to the entrance of the building that has this conference room where the vetting is taking place, that glass door was also broken. We will put that on the screen in a bit. But when you got there, because Ujata Blackwell was scheduled to be vetted on Thursday night. So it was that night that the incident happened. And then we saw that chaos on the screen shortly. What exactly was running through your mind when you saw that level of chaos? And this is the door, the glass door that was destroyed. And this is the entrance, way before the chaos happened. So the point you make about the number of people as well, yes, we can point to this and say it's something that could be considered, because the people were forcing themselves in.
And yesterday was worse. I'll tell you a certain story. Let me put in a short one and then go to what I saw there, the reactions. Look, yesterday too, as I said, because they said only 10, each nominee should come with only 10 guests, it was so bad that a certain MP coming, I don't want to mention names, I want us to get the lessons rather than just mentioning names. A certain MP wanted to come out, but because people were struggling to enter, it became so frustrating for the MP that the MP referred to somebody's spouse as a fool. Now look at this fool. Yeah, because the MP got, so I'm not even mentioning the gender. I want us to concentrate on the lessons, what we should do. Yeah, that MP was so frustrated. Like, the MP wants to come out. People are pushing him. Then the MP said, excuse me, and some other words to that effect. But because there was so much force from those who want to enter, she wasn't getting her way. Then all of a sudden, the MP said, look at that fool. Yeah, and that was somebody's spouse, somebody big up there. So all of us, you can just imagine. So you see the frustration that the MP experienced at the door, one of those doors. The next thing was that, look at this fool. Oh, yeah. It was so terrible. So now
let's move to what we are saying now with the minority MPs putting the chair on the table, expressing their displeasure and their disapproval of the decision to have the vetting to continue by the majority. And they saying that, in fact, there's been explaining, as we go on, you hear from Kojo Oponkoma and the others, that there was some kind of decision.
Yes, yes. So that's where we should start the analysis from.
Yes.
So far, what my understanding of the situation is that they had agreed to vet four nominees. That is what I've heard from Jerry Shaibu. Yeah, that's the Shaib, the fourth person on the screen there. That's the
second deputy minority whip.
Yes. He said they had agreed to vet 4. There were other persons who also, I will remember the names, who also came out and said 4, right? And earlier in the day, I heard on CTFM, the names of 6 were rather mentioned to be vetted, and even there were complaints that, can you finish 6 in one day, considering how the vetting of Sam George went over 5 hours, right? So far, it appears there's some credibility to that story that a certain number was agreed upon, that 4. But let's note this carefully. Before they agreed on the 4, or even if you use 6 for Thursday, remember that earlier on, they had sent letters to some of the nominees. So there was a timetable prior to the happenings of the Thursday. And the first incident that disrupted the timetable was the fact that on Wednesday they couldn't sit because they had to deal with Oliver Bakavomawo's case.
Yes.
So it disrupted the timetable. So you see that yesterday, Ablakwa had in his hands a letter that had been written earlier to him that he was scheduled for Thursday at 1 p.m. So you could see that it was a timetable that had been disrupted. And they failed to communicate to these nominees that, oh, based on the fact that we couldn't sit on Wednesday, your appearance on Thursday would be affected. That is where the problem came from. So you see that eventually yesterday, Afenyo Markin had to apologize to, apart from the chairman of the committee apologizing to the nominees and their families and all of us. Afenyo Markin to eventually did, because you know earlier in the day he had addressed a press conference where he made statements that were unsavory, etc. So he apologized. So that's what really happened. So it means that if we are analyzing the fact that there had been a timetable which obviously was disrupted, and so that Thursday they had agreed to do 4, or even if you take it 6 nominees, it means that that agreement supersedes their earlier timetable. The only problem is that they failed to communicate to Honorable Ablakwa and co. But the point is that those doing the vetting had agreed, the MPs, the committee had agreed that whether you go by the 4 or you go by the 6, that was the number that was agreed upon. So if you try to go beyond 4 or 6, there will be a problem. So to that extent, unless there are any other facts that I'm not aware, you can see that this protest, putting the chairs on the table per se for now without any further distraction is something that I think, well, we can accommodate within our democracy. Because sometimes, you know, they tell you that actions speak louder than words. So if we keep protesting that, look, we are going away, and maybe the chairman and others will not budge because they have numbers. If you lifted your chair and put it on the table, that per se hasn't gone too far. I think we can accommodate that. Where it goes too far is when it got too physical, and you find Jerry, a lawyer, lifting the table. Then you find the other MPs.
That's also, what on the screen there. Yes,
but earlier on, Jerry, who is a lawyer, had lifted the table by himself. I hope you have that.
Let's go back a bit, yes.
Yes, there is that video too before these other ones. Then there was also the MP who was in the cream suit. Yeah, he also did a lot of pushing. The MP in the cream suit.
So the Jerry Ahmed is what the person
you see. Even later on, you see another one. He alone, he lifted it up. It was more than I could take. It was more than I could take.
All the people holding the table are MPs.
Yes. So you see, this one is the latter one. You find at a point he alone lifting the table. So it's like matters had calmed down. Then you find he alone lifting. So presumably, if you see him pushing back, that means that these MPs you see in your shot, then they must be in the minority because he's pushing against them. Do you see that? Do you see? If we went back to the extent that Jerry was pushing against these MPs and the policeman, then it means that these MPs must be the majority. That's the NDC MPs, because there's no reason why he'll be pushing against them, right?
Right.
So he did. Yes.
Right.
This one. Yes. You say. Yes, so what we're saying is that at least the beginning, the putting of the chairs on the table, as I've said, for now, until maybe I'm shown superior facts and arguments, I will not quibble that much with that. But where it got to pushing the table, breaking it, and then, in actual fact, hurting them, that's where it went overboard. It went overboard.
Well, I don't know how we justify it. It's not. I don't agree with my brother Martin.
Why is that?
Martin is my guy anymore, but this one is...
No, I said, be specific. I said at the time where they lifted the chairs, just that one.
I don't agree with you.
Why would putting the chairs on the table be
I don't agree with putting the table.
That's the one
is allowed.
That's the one I said.
You would allow this?
Yes. Why? Because, as I said, you see, sometimes communication. Maybe the person is not hearing well, so he said, look, I'll do a little bit just for you to see that this is my protest.
No, but counsel, there's so many other ways.
Oh, don't forget, I'm the same person that when Oliver Barker from our went and did the stance at the 37, the Galamsey fight. Say, now let's draw consistency. When Oliver and Co went to 37, the demonstration, did you say you supported their actions or not?
No, I didn't support the blocking the road because of where it was. There will be safety. People are going to the hospital. We shouldn't block their access.
There had been notice of that demonstration for months. No, so we're saying that there's not just one entrance to 37. There are several. If the police had planned well,
I support the Galamsey fight. I was very happy to have citizens like Vomawo, yourselves, get on the streets. We should see more activism in the country. It captures or draws the attention of politicians properly. But, this is national TV. We are not a people without a culture. And our children are watching. Is this what you want them to see?
That's why.
I understand what, Martin, you are trying to say, that it's not as bad. That's what Martin is saying. It's not as bad. We could have lived with it. But I don't think we should live with anything. But I understand what you're saying. I don't think we should accept this conduct. You are
even from the putting of the chairs on the table.
No, you see, you are at a public sitting, a public hearing. I don't know how you call it, a public vetting. You must carry yourselves in a way that shapes the culture and the attitude of a people. And that is us as Ghanaians. Did they do that? What did you need to put on that table? A chair that is scratching the surface of that public property. Will you put a chair on the table in your house? You see, my problem with sometimes, we always remember, I have to be careful these days. Ghana is janka. We act as if this country has no owners. It has no parents. And we don't really care. Will you put a chair on your table like this in your house? It's the same question when people are appointing, like the president is appointing today. The people you appoint in the offices that you put them, if it was your own company, will you appoint those people there? Till we learn to realize that we are part of this country and the decisions that we take must reflect the decisions of our own. The call on us to protect that which is of the state is higher than the call on us to even protect that which is ours. Because you are holding the mandate and the lives of people all in one power. Somehow we lose it. And I don't know why. And I will not rationalize this. I will not put a chair on the table in my house. I won't put a chair on the table, so I won't approve of them. These are MPs. My nephew was with me. I was watching the thing. I didn't follow the thing so much. And then I got a call from a number of lawyers. Senor, are you seeing this? Senor, are you seeing that? Then I said, what? I know how to get there. Then I went on YouTube. My nephew he said, Uncle, are these honorables? 14-year-old can ask this question. Are these honorables? It's a disgrace. We shouldn't entertain this in any shape or form. We should call it for what it is. This is not the first time. This happened in 2021. That was a total disaster. We were in shock. As a matter of fact, together with some other CSOs, the One Ghana movement tried to be diplomatic about it. I think the most reckless things we've done. We should have called a spade a spade. We had MPs taking ballots, chewing them. Are you a goat? You understand? And then chewing paper, ballots. Then we had MPs kicking this, destroying state property. I checked today, nothing was done to anybody. That is why you will wake up and put a chair on the table, break a glass, break and destroy gadgets that you have paid very little towards. It is more us who have paid for it. And you forget that you serve us. So much disrespect. And you want us to call you honorables. And when somebody comes there and you anger them and they use descriptions for you, you say they come and apologize to who? You are joking. We will have to deal with things and start acting responsibly. Nobody is superior in this country. When you've been given a mandate to serve the people, you must be focused on that. You must be humble to serve. You must see it as a privilege to impact lives, not to come and throw around your egos. That is all that was playing out there. You know, and a number of them are my brothers and friends, and I was really shocked later. But it's a difficult conversation to have, but it must be had. This nonsense must stop. When you are there, act honorably. You can have your debates. I have to be honest. The MPP definitely had every reason to negotiate or talk about the 10 o'clock being late. It was too late. It was late. The NDC was not being reasonable in that particular engagement. But that reasonability is also preceded by other unreasonabilities. How did we plan or schedule the day? Who was responsible for scheduling the day? Were they all not part of it?
As in the number of questions and so on?
I called a black one. I said, so what is happening? I called my friends who are on the MPP side. What is happening? I talk to everybody, and then they send me a schedule. I see a schedule. I'm seeing 8 people. Everybody 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. You know that you have met a black one. You know you have met Sam George. You know you can't do that in 1 hour. So why do we sit there and write 1 hour? We all know. How many days did we take to interview Ken Oforiatta?
Almost 2 days.
You understand? So you should be able to know that for the people coming, these are our needs. As leaders, negotiate the time. Be properly organized. This reflects the state of the country the state of disorganization. The leaders are so they can't even plan themselves. What planning do you expect for us? So if you want this country to fix itself, you, the leaders, fix yourself. And stop telling us to go and fix ourselves when you say fix the country. It's the kind of nonsense that happens, and we sort of pamper it. We should stop pampering it. We have pampered it for years. It has taken us nowhere. That is why we must start calling a spade a spade. What you did was reckless and irresponsible. It was an affront to the people of Ghana. You owe us an apology. And you owe us a repentance in your own lives. And the orientation you have. The name honorable, we have to take it out.
To take it out from...
I'm telling you, we should stop calling anybody honorable. In some countries, there's nothing like honorable. The people even call honorable are the regulators.
We are not compelled to call them honorable. It's in the House. It's in the House. The Parliament.
When you are in Parliament, yes.
This
but outside
kind
of Parliament...
of thing gods we create out of them, we've come to realize that they're not even part for servants of God. No. So if you want to serve us with humility. Look at the way people like Patrick Boama carry themselves. Very honorably. Nice. Kweku Kwatin talks properly. Look at the way people carry. Look at the way Ayarga came there, trying to bring order. That was great leadership, Ayarga. You did a good job there. You know, but I mean, Chief Whip, look at how you are whipping your own self. You are whipping yourself to disgrace. We cannot continue this. This student leadership, this whole thing here, Martin, you and I were all student leaders. We remember this is coming from our nooks and then JCR, SRC behavior. And another prayer is one of them. That's this whole thing. It's as if we've never grown. You go and look at the team, maybe they've not really worked their lives properly. I don't know. But if you've gone and you've gone through at this age, we can't continue nooks behavior here. No. Our children are watching. Let us show them a proper example of decorum, proper engagement. And some empathy. How do you expect people to be sitting there 10 o'clock? It's not possible. And you know that you have scheduled 8 people or you've scheduled a number of people. Why do you deliberately spend 5 hours on Sam George or 6 hours on Sam George? If you know that you won't do it, let the people go in advance. So that the chiefs who came, it was a disrespect to them. Oh. We brought chiefs there. We had people sitting there waiting from morning. Because they had given somebody 10 o'clock. I remember, I see Sam George's own was 10 o'clock. What time did he start? A Black West own, let me give you the schedule here. My brother is here. Maybe I should send it to you. I should put it on the screen.
We'll put
Sam
it
George,
on the screen shortly.
Sam George, 10 o'clock. Kofi Adams, 11 o'clock.
This was Thursday.
Yes. This is, then, what? Sam Ablakwa, 12:30, because lunch is at 12. 30 minutes lunch break. Ablakwa, 12:30.
Oh, 1 hour.
You knew you were not going to make the progress. So even if it's at 3 o'clock, you say, Mr. Kude, to you and your people, please leave. Because we'll not be able to make the time. You organize it well. And you do it reasonably. And you cannot also have a majority that wants to be bullish. And because you have power, you want to flaunt it. So yes, even if you go, we don't care. Then come and do a 5 minutes, what's the name, vetting for a foreign minister. I mean, it doesn't work. We should be reasonable about this whole thing. We know almost everybody will be passed. If Howard Ocansey was passed in this country, I don't know which person cannot be passed in this country. Please, you watch her vetting. And if Okru, the one who came to that release statement, and everybody say, I know you, can also get passed and go. I don't know who cannot be passed in this country.
And that's why concerns have been raised about the vetting structure itself. It appears the committee members, they have in their minds the people they want to grill, and so they spend 5 hours, 6 hours.
They are not.
And those that they say, you know what? Let's just get them through 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They are done.
Look, go to Singapore. If you see the proper vetting that goes through before a minister is appointed, people come and sit down. You don't even ask them for what their strategic goals are. What kind of tactics they intend to deploy? How did they evaluate the entire sector? What sector should be the priority? What kind of transformation we should expect? What outcomes? No, we are not seeing that. I'm asking the questions that people ask them. Is that the question they were asking? They were interviewing people for their own company job. That's the kind of thing that you should start asking yourself. You spend the whole time trying to speak on people's character. I agree. But you see that the conversation has now become, I'm looking for an apology. Will you apologize? Apologize what? Will you apologize? Is that what gives somebody a job? If you want to discuss whether somebody's reputation or character is appropriate, it's fine. Bring those things into question. You don't spend 4 hours the whole time trying to spend the whole time on that particular thing. It's about discussing the technical issues, the sector issues, so that we as a people can understand that this person has clear understanding, has a clear plan, a clear vision for the sector, a clear strategy in deploying it, a proper alignment with our national development goals, a proper alignment with his own party manifesto. We are not seeing that. It is a time for people to come and look for who they want to take a piece of their meat from, a pound of flesh from. I don't have a problem with that, a bit of the politics, but you do it a bit. You don't make it the priority. You make the job itself the priority, especially when you know that whatever you do, the people will still be passed. At least let's get something of merit and get commitments of these people towards our own development as a country. I remember one of the people asked the health minister something on the nurses who are some 20,000 or so nurses.
Yes.
Well, that's a solid one. She was trying to get a commitment from the health minister. A commitment that all of us as a people can go back and hold him for if he's not delivering on those particular things. But we spent 4 hours trying to see whether we can get an apology from Sam George or not. At the end, did we get one? No. Sam George and his opinion, everybody knows it already. Nobody is going to use this vetting to determine the fate of Nana Akufo-Addo. The Ghanaians have voted and shared their opinion over Nana Akufo-Addo. It will not change. It will not change. It will not change. Some of them, we saw it with our eyes. Now, I told you, this election wasn't about Bawumia. Bawumia was not on the ballot. His name was there, but he himself was not on the ballot. John Mahama too was not on the ballot. The only person on the ballot in this election was Nana Akufo-Addo, yes or no. And it was a big no. So please, let's forget and move on. Let's think about the development of our country. Engage the people to understand clearly how they intend to facilitate the development and the prosperity of ourselves and our children and our children's children. That should be the focus.
Now, if you look at, and Madam Susan, I'll bring in her, but let me, Nana said something earlier that was just within we were having a private conversation. When you look at some George vetting, 5 hours, 2 minutes. The majority asked 23 questions. The minority asked 218 questions. And in fact, most of the 218, guess what? 196 came from the minority leader alone, Alexander Penyomakin. And much of it was on President Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, his CV, and how he funded his education, and then matters related to certain comments that he had either made or posted about the Chief Justice and the anti-LGBTQ matter. This was the major part of this whole vetting for Sam George. The matters related to the post or position he's going to take up was just 2% of the questions. All 218, just 2%. His CV, 15%. And manifesto promises, 2%. 51% of the entire time with Sam George was about past comments that he has made. 10% was on his education and how he funded it. 22% on getting him to apologize for something he had said. Nana, did we waste our time on this?
Yeah, Alfred, thank you very much. Before I go to the specifics of your questions, let me make a quick comment on Jose's comments. And the one big one that I pick is what is happening in Parliament now is a reflection of the state of our nation. I think when he said that now, it hit me very strongly. And it takes me back to the time when I had the privilege of sitting in President Kufuor's cabinet because I was General Secretary of the party. It was just a privilege. And from that time, I have told people that whatever you see happening in the streets is a reflection of what is happening in the President's cabinet room. Whatever is happening, the way people are driving, what's happening in the market, with prices of goods and services. I saw President Kufuor manage cabinet, manage issues. And immediately you get to the town. When you get things in an orderly manner, it is only a reflection of what was happening inside the President's cabinet room. What is happening in Parliament now is truly a reflection of our state of affairs. And it is very disappointing. You know, I will not excuse any of the things that happened there.
No, but seeing this kind of conduct,
cannot.
How did this? These are members of Parliament
Alfred,
doing this.
Whatever the planning lapses, whatever the disagreements. So what stops a person who's protesting from saying, I'm out of here until the issues are resolved? I mean, would anybody have stopped anybody who wanted? They boycott things in Parliament all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they boycott, they go and reason and get reorganized, and then they come back. So now we are seeing a Parliament that does not even respect itself. Honestly, seriously. Because, again, you want us to call you honorable, and then you behave like this. And I'm asking, are you going to force us to respect you? I think this is very disappointing. But let me come back to the issue that you raised about Sam George's episode.
Because that preceded all of this, and the time spent. And
no, I'm actually looking at, first of all, the posturing of the MPP, because you see, as soon as the elections were over and Parliament reconvened, you could see that the minority now wants to posture macho.
Yeah, true.
Especially as personified in Afenyo Marking's attitude and the way of presenting his cases and making his point and so on and so forth. I thought that that was quite unnecessary. And that with the kind of experience that he had, you can still make your case without sounding overbearing, you know. But be that as it may, you want to ask a nominee who is being given the communications portfolio, a portfolio that has so much to do with the current trends of economic development, of governance, of policy, of citizens' interaction, communication. And then you spend over 50% of the time on issues that are totally unnecessary. They may be relevant to whoever is raising the questions, to Afenyo Marking or to the minority. But you ask the question, how relevant are these questions and the discussions half of the time? How relevant are they to the task and the assignment that is being given to this ministerial nominee? Absolutely zero. And I will dwell a little bit on the quality of the questions that are raised, I hear a lot of time being spent on somebody's religion and his private beliefs and whether he belongs to a secret society or is an open society, and you spend so much time on that. And I'm like, what is the whole point? What are you driving at? How does it help the citizens of Ghana who want people to take on assignments to address pressing issues of survival, of governance, of economic development, of our democracy? It, for me, was quite distressing. I am not saying that we don't need to know what these persons are made of in terms of their perspectives of life and so on. But you want to get a little broad sense of the person. After all, they're already in public service. They are in parliament. A lot of them are in the public eye already. So we have a sense of who they are. But now, the point is that we want to be satisfied. We want to be assured that the president is giving us people who are up to the task. You members of parliament are representing us. All of us cannot go asking the nominees questions. So you're supposed to get into our heads, get a sense of what is urgent, of importance to the people of Ghana, not just to yourself and to your ego per se, and to your little personal fights.
Correct.
And grandstanding. I mean, sometimes you look at them and you listen to their questioning, and I'm like, why don't you do this in your private room? Why don't you do this off the camera? Because we really don't need the kind of diatribe. No. And people want us to spend time, national airtime, very precious executive time, to listen to some of these things. I think it is a very big problem. Now, some action is being taken against some of the characters in this whole drama. You know,
the minority have just issued a statement describing those measures as unfair. The suspension of three of their members as unfair.
The minority.
The minority. They say it was unfair on the part of the speaker to have done that.
Did they give any reasons? Because I haven't read their statement.
I'll put that on the screen.
Yes. But you see, I'm looking at this kind of drama, and I don't know whether I should also talk about the capacity of the committee chairman to keep things under control and in a proper meeting or conference manner. You know, if you are chairing a very important and sensitive program or activity of this nature, and it ends up in such chaos, I think I'm not passing personal judgment on committee chairman. It looks like it's a systemic thing. The clerk and how she managed the process has been mentioned along the route, but on the spot, in the bull's eye, I see the committee chairman, who at any particular time has the power and the authority to be able to steer affairs a certain way. I think when things started getting out of hand, the committee chairman could have said, listen, the way things are going, I think we need a break. Can we take a break, suspend sittings right now, go back room, see how we can resolve this matter? I don't think it was right for the chairman to have sat through all of these mess unfold in your presence, and then now here we are. Can we call you honorable or not? So I think maybe I would not go as far as saying remove the chairman. No, I mean, anybody can face some of these difficulties. But I'm just saying that this committee's work hasn't finished yet. The chairman must reconsider the style and the approach to handling some of the behaviors and some of the attitudes and some of the posturing that some of the committee members are also putting up. Otherwise, eventually, if he doesn't take care, in the final analysis, a heavy part of the negative verdict might fall upon him as committee chairman. Now, Alfred, to finish up with this...
and before you finish up, but I've been showing videos of this whole chaos. And while we do that, for the benefit of our viewers to understand the severity of the situation we're talking about, the speaker didn't mince words, that this is disgraceful.
Absolutely.
This chaos
this
cannot be explained and countenanced in any way, shape, or form. And we're talking about members of parliament, for that matter, brought in this. Now, if you look at the video, which we've been showing, and how it all started. Oh, look, these are honorable members of these are members of parliament, for that matter. And behaving like this, would any reason whatsoever justify these actions we're seeing?
Alfred, it's impossible to justify. Absolutely impossible. Even if this happened in a primary school classroom, teachers will punish pupils.
Exactly.
If this happened in a secondary school, authorities will punish students. If this happened in any university lecture hall, students will be held, or whoever touches furniture. So now we travel all the way from the primary school through the JSS and the SHS and the university and get into parliament. And we have the guts to justify this. Martin, as for this one, there is no way anybody should give any excuse or justification. I think that if the speaker can even broaden the net of who is responsible and who has to be sanctioned.
Because the video captures quite a number of
people. Quite a number of people. That's what I'm saying. It might not just be limited to these 4 people, because otherwise, Parliament is losing its essence. Parliament is losing its value. Parliament is losing its respect with those of us who are sitting outside Parliament and hoping that Parliament will be adding value to our democracy and our governance system. I think this is a very terrible situation, because as Jose is saying, and I recollected this 2021 incident, I was so horrified when a member of Parliament just snatched a bunch of voting papers and then started eating them. And can you believe this? His party considers him
a hero,
a very big hero for the upper. And I'm like, is this MPP?
So the MPP, they called these guys heroes.
Yes.
Yeah, they are praising them.
So you see, there's a certain...
let me interrupt you. So, Senor, when we're doing DDP, your news, PM Express, then you banged this and broke the glass at Joy FM. Was that, what would your nephew say?
But Martin, you see, sometimes.
You broke the glass on
but
set.
that's why I'm telling Martin, that's why...
I didn't say you vandalized it.
You see that was the anger.
Let me respond. Don't worry, let me respond to Martin.
On set to live television.
Martin, listen to me. I am saying we have moved from the primary school classroom through the JSS classroom to the secondary school classroom, to the university classroom, even to the work environment.
I get
we have entered Parliament.
We are all learning. I get it.
Oh, no. But this one, so didn't we learn in 2021 when people ate ballot papers and people will hold people and people would physically in Ghana's Parliament stretch forth their hands and physically touch somebody in a fit of whatever, rage or emotion? It means that we are still at a certain very low level of our best. And I think when these things happen, I would implore the speaker. I think that this matter has to be investigated properly. The videos are there.
Yes, he's referred it to the police.
I think that whoever is found to be part of this whole process in a negative sense, at least, if for nothing at all, should be named and shamed. The people who are so full of themselves posturing themselves as if they are now going to present. I mean, a lot of these people, you've been in Parliament all these years. Even those who are in minority now, what did they do when they were in the majority? So now it's becoming a tit-for-tat situation. Something happened during MPP's time as majority. NDC takes over. They also want to position themselves as the almighty minority. Majority. I haven't heard any mighty minority before. I don't know what that represents. Maybe it's a David and Goliath affair, where David as minority was mighty minority. I don't know. But seriously speaking, if you are minority, you are minority. That's all. You are majority. It doesn't mean that you have a license to misconduct yourself and to try and bully your way through. In any case, the way MPP is also posturing itself as minority now, from day one, I have a problem with that. I think MPP should just settle down and understand that they are in a minority. You don't need to flex muscles. You don't need to create scenes. You don't need to create drama. You don't need to call too much attention to yourself. They can conduct themselves in such a way that they will send a message to Ghanaians that yes, this is democracy. We are in a minority. We will cooperate with the majority. We will not engage in unnecessary political grandstanding. I was going to also talk about the NDC foot soldiers.
Yeah, we'll get Max there.
You talk about grandstanding. That's how you describe all of this.
A lot of it is political grandstanding. Oh, Martin, I've been listening, Alfred.
That's all.
I've been listening to a lot of the statements that is coming from the minority, especially. I don't want to mention the specific names anymore. I think I've done enough of that. You can see sheer political grandstanding. Otherwise, if you want to help Ghana get competent people to run our ministries and our agencies, why would you spend 51% of the time asking questions that are quite unrelated to the job that is being assigned? If it is not political grandstanding, what is it? You are wasting everybody's time, really. So, but that is it. Let me quickly address this matter of NDC foot soldiers. Martin was talking about a place where everybody wants to attend. Maybe 1,000 people to be sitting for the vetting and so on. I think that would be a little difficult to manage.
I agree with you.
This is live on TV.
So watch from home.
So let a selected few people, very important, close associates of the nominees, important people from the party, accompany the nominees. Maybe Parliament should make an arrangement, maybe put canopies and stuff out somewhere and put large screens for people who want to watch. If you don't have TV at home, maybe Parliament can do that a little favor for us, so that whether the room is big or small, if that is all that they have, let the air conditioners work. Because this, seriously, Martin, what you were describing, if that is the case, then that was quite irresponsible on the management of Parliament.
It's the disorganization.
I mean, really.
Total disorganization.
That the place, air conditioners were not working.
Oh, they're not.
People were suffocating.
Profusely. Yeah, we're suffocating, dehydrating.
And one nominee sits there being questioned for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours.
Oh.
I think you are doing yourself a lot of harm in terms of health and safety. So if that is all they have, I don't know, I haven't gone to see the architecture and all of that. If they have other facilities that are working well, why don't you just shift? But if they don't, fix this place, make arrangements for other attendees to sit outside somewhere, put up big screens. These are not difficult things to do. I don't know how we easily get ourselves into some of these messes that can easily be avoided. But as I said, Alfred, this is a very poor reflection of the state of affairs of our country. Right now, we have new leadership in place. Well, I wouldn't say Speaker Gbagbo is new in that sense. He's been on for the past 8 years already, and he's back again. The president is new. His ministers are going to be new ministers. Some of the MPs are new. The leadership of this country has been handed to this group of people at a time such as this. If things will go on business as usual and possibly slip into a worse situation, then it doesn't look like we are getting dividends for the troubles of elections and the troubles of and the cost of democracy that is being incurred in our country. It is the responsibility of the president and his executive. It is the responsibility of the speaker and his parliament. It is the executive of the judiciary and the people who hold key positions in the state to see to it that there is some clear indication that we are making some changes in the way we think, in the way we do things at the highest level, and let it trickle down to the rest of us in the society. Otherwise, we are not making any progress.
And the speaker is on the same path with you. And Madam Duamako, I'll bring you in at this point, while I also acknowledge the presence of Franklin Cudjoe. Franklin Cudjoe is the founding executive director of the Imani Africa, this policy think tank, and joining us on Zoom as well. Mr. Cudjoe, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning to my good friends on the show.
Thank you, as always. Thank you for making the time to join us. This is how the speaker described this, Madam Susan Duamako. The House, as in Parliament, must acknowledge that it is rapidly eroding public confidence. Parliamentary privilege does not and will never extend to lawlessness. This is a disgrace. It's an unfortunate incident, a direct contradiction of the repeated admonition that he has been issuing to members. And in fact, 2 days before this incident, he had indicated that respect is earned to the Appointments Committee members, that respect is earned. Don't demand it. Then this happens, and he's indicated that any member found culpable shall face appropriate disciplinary actions. It goes on and on. We've been showing videos from different angles so that we get a full complement of how things played out. I want you to take a look at another video from a different angle, and then I'll bring you in. Let's look at this.
Yeah, that was the better one. The one in the cream suit.
Where is that? Who's that? Yes, the cream. Yeah, you see him. His one is brutal. What is he? Yeah, he's this one. Right. Only in the time she showed.
Unbelievable. You people need to stop. You need to stop. Oh. This is unbelievable. Yeah. Look, they are doing this so you can all just get up and go home. Hey, this micro minority. Me, oh my God, me. Hey, hey, Unbelievable.
Madam Susan Duamako, this is what happened from another angle.
He alone. There's a video. Yeah, I have a video
minority.
Of he alone was pushing.
Let me see. Oh, I have it on my phone. Great.
So then it's when the Mama Yariga came in to try and
the micro minority
intervene, but that also didn't really help until he addressed the press on this matter.
Who is
Madam
inciting them?
This is it.
The micro minority, it annoys them to high heaven.
I want us, yes. Okay. Bring
you on
this
one. He said it for the first time.
And really, whether the conversation about the arrangements and the fact that they went beyond what had been agreed on will in any way, shape or form give any form of justification to what we're saying.
It doesn't. Definitely doesn't.
You start. You see. You wait, you see. That's not it. You get what?
Say, he has body.
Let me look for it. You guys don't have
this
it.
This is it.
No. I think things are...
Yes.
I'll take on this.
Okay. I look at it and I'm. It's funny, but it's sad also at the same time. You would expect that our parliamentarians wanting to sort of get the respect that they think they deserve, they will behave in a way that it makes it easier for us to respect them. But if you behave in such a way, nobody's going to respect you. And if people don't respect you, they can tell you any sort of thing. And you can haul them before a privileged committee, etc. They may apologize. But we all know that you are not a body worthy of respect. I mean, when the Speaker says they are eroding, I look at it and I laugh and said, probably you should have said you have eroded, because it's not now. And panelists have said it already, that in 2021 we saw parliamentarians behaving like kindergarten children. A kindergarten child is the one who will tear their paper and they don't want you to see it, they will chew it. It's very ridiculous, and it's childish behavior, infantile behavior to do that. You understand? So we saw that there was a lot of things that happened in the 8th Parliament that we were hoping that we would not see in the 9th Parliament. And this is something that doesn't bode well, or this is, how do I say, coming events casting their shadows. Is this something that we're going to see in the 9th Parliament? Is this the way they're going to behave? Because these are grown men. This is character. Their characters showing up. Because, when you are under pressure, that's when your character shows up. When you are under pressure, somebody has put you in a tight corner, most likely that is when we will see your authentic self. And this is them. So you can imagine that if maybe there is something that they are a minority, the majority is being bullish, there's something in Parliament that needs to be discussed, time has gone, people want to go back home, they are tired, and is this the kind of behavior they're going to resort to? You understand? Because this is just one thing that has happened. But what about when they get into Parliament itself and they're pushed to the wall to do certain things? Will they say that if we walk out, because we are a minority, these people will have their way, so let's break chairs and let's disrupt it so that it doesn't... No, I mean, because if this were to happen in Parliament, you would not be surprised. If it were to happen subsequently, because it becomes the norm, and which is wrong. Look, this whole vetting thing, sometimes I look at it and I said, it seems as if the majority is there to score points. And the minority, is there to score political points. And the majority is there to protect their own. And they have both left the hard questions that need to be asked on behalf of the people of Ghana to be thrown in terms of this narrow view of things. I don't know about they having researchers, good researchers, who will go maybe even ask people on the streets, what do you expect from your Minister of Information?
So they advertise. They advertise for questions.
So they advertise and things like that. But advertising and things like that. But you see, like most things, you advertise, people bring in, but you go out onto the street and you ask the ordinary people. Because how many Ghanaians...
But they all have research attachés now.
Yeah, so they have research attachés. But you see, advertising, there are a lot of people around who will not pick up a pen a pen and a paper to write something. But if you ask them on the street, they would give you an answer. Because that is the kind of people we are. We are not too much of a reading people and a writing people, but we are very verbal and vocal. So, you know, they're going out and looking at that and seeing what people really expect from a foreign minister or a minister of communications, etc., etc. Yes, you would want to question their character because people bring their character into office, you know. But basically, is that all that we are going to talk about? You understand? And of course, knowing the character of the people, because they have worked with these people, they should have known that somebody like Sam George will dig in his heels, and you can't push him. You understand? And so it will just be a long, truncated discourse because he has dug in his heels and you are just going on. Is that what we want to see? Because we know the character of the persons that we are already dealing with. So you know, you as leadership are the ones to move on. You get it? But we are using this. We've become too political and not too so much thinking about our development and our growth as a people. And we are stuck in that kind of political, I don't know, quagmire, where everything is colored and we are not looking beyond to the growth of our people. Because if that was the focus and the you know, the foremost things in our minds, some of these questions that are going back and forth will not be what we would be seeing in. So
you agree that this whole vetting thing has become a charade?
No,
like,
I mean, like
there's a target of a particular nominee. Let's
course. I mean,
deal with him.
Depending on the office, yes, there are certain offices that you would expect that it will take longer because they are sensitive, so it will take longer to vet the person than other offices. But of course, you don't also want somebody to come and sit there and then, I'm in Greater Accra. I want to see what my regional minister will do in Greater Accra. You understand? But so I don't expect that she will come for vetting. And you, in the next minute, she dismissed.
We know you. We know you.
7 minutes.
But you are not there because of you. You are there because of the people who put you there to ask questions. You understand? So their researchers came back to say that, people live in the whole Accra, we know her, so it's okay. You understand? It's not okay. You know, that being said that we know you and it's fine. And then let's move on. Then why are you there? Because then it doesn't look like you are there because of us. You are there because you know her. Then, I mean, really? Then you know most of them already. You can, then might as well not go with the process. So let's not make it a charade. You understand? One, to score political points. Two, for the I mean, I would expect hard questions, not how would I put, not inappropriate or not unnecessary, difficult questions, but hard questions that come to the core of the task in which they have been assigned. You understand? Then you can see the depth of the person and what kind of research or what kind of knowledge that person is bringing to the table. But some of these things, look, I was listening when he says the disorganization that we are seeing in Parliament is really a reflection of our disorganization across board, which is true. Which is true. You know, we are so mediocre in everything that we do. We are supposed to start a program at 8. We start at 8:30. We don't care. No, and we are moving on.
8:30 is fine. Because it's arrival of 8 to 8:30 is arrival of guests. So the real thing is that you start at 9:30. That's Ghana.
We don't take that seriously. You understand? If somebody's supposed to speak for 15 minutes, the person is speaking for 30 minutes, we think it is okay. And we find that in all facets of life. And especially in our body politic. You understand? And it affects us. I mean, time is so valuable. It's something you can't get back, and yet we waste it, and we wonder why we are poor. We are wasteful people, and wasteful people are poor. It doesn't matter how much wealth you have physically, whatever, which we do have, and yet because we are so wasteful with our time and things like that. Look, so if we have to be practical. If we were practical, we said, okay, you speak among yourselves. We are having an average of 3 hours per person. Okay, some people may a little more, some people more. How can we do it that you are sharp and alert? We will finish at 10. Can we do 3 people? Is it possible? If your questions, do we need to repeat these questions? Can you go through your questions so that you pick the hard ones and you come up with it? You know, that sort of thing. You speak to each other and you sit down such that you have a program that is befitting of Parliament. It is something that we as a country can be proud of, and you know, we can say, look at our parliamentary process, look at how they ask people questions, look at how the questions were answered, look at how both the minority and the majority comported themselves. This is the kind of thing we want to see. Because, look, we know for a fact that these 2 people, NDC and people, they are friends. When they leave here, these people that were pushing tables and chairs, they'll go and sit somewhere, drink beer and eat watch it and laugh. You understand? And they come and do their theatrics. And this theatrics, sometimes the foot soldiers who are going around pulling people out of offices, you understand, and going to say that, hey, I don't want you as a board chairman, so we are throwing you out, stopping people and getting their cars. They see these kind of things, and they think that, oh, well, but if these people are doing this, then me feel, you understand? You know, suppose honorable see your way. You understand? We see this behavior. Your foot soldiers see this behavior, and then they think that they can march into offices and kick people out. Look, the people who need to be kicked out, they already know they are not even going to the offices. When you go to an office where, let me give a hypothetical ministry so that I don't get into trouble with any ministry. Let's say we go to a ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, go to a Ministry of Home Affairs. You will find in the minister's office, you will find 2 secretaries who are civil servants. Then you will find another table where you would find the personal assistant to the minister. And then you will find 2 other people who are personal assistants to the personal assistant. You understand? So when the minister rings his bell to ask, the ministry person, the civil servant will get up, so will the personal assistant get up, and they'll go inside. Then you will find that, oh, maybe the ministry person will come out. Those 3 people, you think that after 7th December, they didn't know that they didn't have a job?
Certainly they did.
They knew they didn't have a job. They would have left already. You understand?
Right.
But then you go and meet the civil servant there, and then you want to go and mess up. Look, we must move from that cool mentality. It's part of this cool mentality. You understand? And then these people feel that, these people, the MPP, they are still in the throes of withdrawal symptoms and the loss and the grief from losing abysmally. You understand? They haven't recovered. And it takes a long time to recover. You think that when you can sit in traffic and go ping, ping, pong, 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 and get to the place that you are, and all of a sudden you are sitting in traffic with me, and you are trying to do it, and I'm like, oh, clear off. You understand? It is painful. It is, you understand? Even where I say a school prefect cry, or a school prefect in a small school, not say, the time come. Now another prefect is there, and then you are passing, and then people are not running. You know how painful it is. Then this one, they are in the throes of painful grief. And this is where, in the stages of grief, this is where they are. And this is the kind of behavior we are seeing. We are not going to tolerate it because we think they are in grief. That one, they are grown men, they should mask it well. You understand? And maturity is able to mask and hide your feelings and move on. But let me say another thing. Because we're going to talk about the minorities epistle.
In fact, I want you to put a freeze on, because it's very important, that point.
Okay.
But Mr. Kujo is going to leave out as a point. I want to bring Mr. Franklin Kujo in quickly on this. And then also, shortly, I'll be joined by Daniel Yao Demelovo, a former Auditor General as well, who was there. Counsel, he was there with you, right, that night when the chaos happened?
Yes.
Right. So he'll also give us his own experience of that chaos that day. I think he's on now. Mr. Daniel Demelovo, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. How are you all?
I'm well. We're well. I respond on their behalf. Very, very well. Thank you very much for joining us.
Papa Hondilo.
Indeed.
Mr. Kudo, so I want to find out from you, and this is not the first time the appointments committee's work has come under scrutiny. At least over the years that I have done this, every year when there's some vetting or another, we have to talk about it. And then the quality of their questions always comes up for conversation. But this time, it appears we've had enough of it, and it's beginning to choke us, is it not? That disgraceful act that, as the speaker put it.
Well, first of all, I think that in a democracy, all sorts are entertained, right? All sorts of behaviors, all sorts of characters, all sorts of different shades, really, of opinions are entertained. And so for me, funnily enough, I don't really see anything exceedingly wrong with what happened, except, of course, the fisticuffs and then the chaos. It will be interesting to know that I'm not saying the chaos in Ghana should be allowed, but if you look at chaos in parliaments all over the world, in fact, Ghana seems to be in its own space. But anyway, that's just me being mischievous. You know, I think though that for the questions, and I think I like to differ a little bit from the analysis that has been had so far. You know, I don't know whether, well, first of all, I think the appointment committee must have certain rules they are working with. We can quarrel the rules. As I understand it, understand the rules, the ranking minority leader has unlimited opportunities to ask questions.
That's what we got to know this week. That was a surprise for me, actually.
Well, but it shouldn't surprise you, and I don't think it is surprising. There have been many instances where the rankings have had.
We have unlimited time of asking questions.
Well, I don't think you heard the chairman. Those of you who were listening properly must have heard the chairman at one point say, "Yeah, even though the rules allow you to ask unlimited questions, at least you must have some time. So the next, if you don't finish your question, the next 3 minutes, I'll move on." You know, those are things that we hear, and so it's there. So we can quarrel with the process, and I think we should, but we should also ask questions. We should rather request that, look, going forward, maybe Parliament should change its rules and ensure that even if you are ranking, you have just an hour or so to ask questions. By the way, I was thoroughly enjoying all the questions Apenya was asking, because, truth be told, I learned so many governance issues were distilled from his questions. People did not, many of you did not realize. Two things stood out for me. Number one, Apenya's drilling of my two good friends, Samuel and Sam George, actually revealed something to me. And again, it has to be on the grand issue of sources of money apart from your income.
But that's okay.
I don't think people realize that what Apenya was actually getting exactly is that, look, you can say so many things, you can say you earn this, but exactly how do you fund certain things? And I think those questions to me, that thing stood out to me clearly. But a few of my colleagues at Imani have actually also said the same thing this morning at posted say, because I realized that that's what he was trying to get at. Of course, he would question his methods, that he was going on and on about. Some questions were not really needed. I understand that, but it looks to me that he in fact got that, and then also the issue of character. You see, look, we are all not saints. In fact, there's a movie. If you have seen the movie, all the Kingsmen, right? The movie about President Nixon's attempt to make sure that he torpedoed the Democratic conventions. I've forgotten the details, but essentially, he went sending spies to the Democratic parties just to listen in what they were doing. And that movie, I remember one guy asked a friend to actually go and look for, go ahead, you me find something on this judge. This judge must be corrupt. And the guy said, look, I found nothing on the judge. He said, no, man is born in sin and will die in sin. So find out something. That's what I'm trying to say, that the issues about the character is also quite important. If you look what Apenya was trying to do, if you listen carefully, especially with some judge, eventually he actually portrays some judge as quite arrogant and somebody who does not, and he did it skillfully without necessarily telling him that. It was clear. And you see, when you've been watching these, what's it called? So we've all been watching vetting processes across the world. And some of these things really speak to issues of character and all that. So, look, the point I'm making is that let's not sweep everything that the minority ranking or doing wrong. We may have problems with the process, but the process, as agreed from Parliament, is that the guy has unlimited opportunity to ask questions. I was expecting the chairman to be asking questions as well. He never did. He always sits there and sometimes says, "Oh, no." You know, so he didn't even. So he had not even stamped authority on the process. If he had the audacity, if you like, to be asking questions as well, you'd have seen a careful balance. By the way, he didn't prevent. Nobody was prevented from asking 100 questions. So, if you like, 90 questions. The point I'm making is that the two leaders sitting there had equal opportunity to ask questions as they wanted. If it so appeared that one person was asking so many questions, and then we find fault with that, I'm saying no, the rules allow him to do so. So we have to quarrel with the rules, but at the same time, also try to learn from the process. As for me, I picked up two very important issues for me clearly. I mean, look, Sam is my good friend, Sam Gujet is my good friend. What he was doing to Sam Gujet was essentially asking the question, if you are chairman of ORA and indeed going after people's ABCD, well, we can also question you about your properties. Then the chairman came quickly to say, oh no, you can't question you about it, but he declared them in an envelope, which we'll never see. You know, I'm happy Dr. Mr. Developer is on the call, because this is the issue he's been fighting as a declaration. If Mr. Kujato could speak openly about somebody's property that he probably must have acquired publicly, even though he was a public officer, nothing stops anybody from going after some of his questions as well. I mean, this is the way I was seeing it. But people are saying, oh, he's unnecessary questions. I don't think they are unnecessary. And by the way, the other point I need to make clearly is, you see, when Apenya asked Sam Kujato about the president's brother's gift, more or less gift of a presidential right for a national assignment, even though he tried to justify it, I actually went into the archives and found out that, well, about 8 years ago, actually, Sam Kujato questioned why somebody actually renovated President Kufuor's house. Well, people are saying the two are different because one is a blood brother and then the other is an unnamed businessman. As if the gift has to. We need to know the DNA of a gift. I don't even understand that. But the potentially corrosive effect of a conflict of interest is what is at stake here. And so there were so many aspects for me that stood out that I thought we should question. You know, when he was going on and on about how much were you earning, what job did you do, he ended at the point that I don't know whether you all realized. Then he asked my good friend Sam Kujato, where you live right now, do you rent or do you pay? Well, Mr. Senior also lives in that area. If you're going to pay top dollar for 8 good years, I mean, maybe it's his decision, but I suspect that he's not saying that he's stolen anything. He's just asking you, well, how did you come by this and this and that? Don't forget, Sam just said his wife also feeds him, or is it feed him or something like that? So I was thoroughly enjoying this process. And for once I said, okay, when we advocates in civil society argue for sources of campaign financing, maybe this is actually the place which this is the way it's supposed to be unraveled. I'm not saying Apenya say it, but the point of the matter is there's not the one in the seat. Do you understand? Yes. So I picked up a lot of useful governance related issues from the yarns, from the way it was going on and on. I agree. He went too much, he talked too much, he did. But I was really picking up a lot of useful lessons. And for that, I think I'm grateful. Look, there's a country we are building. People may say that, well, it's my time to do whatever I want, but I think that we all don't want JM to fail. I mean, I'm tired. Look, I'm tired. I may be young. I'll be 49 this February, by the way. But I've been doing this job for the past 21 good years, and I've seen all this government. And I ask myself, when will things change? We have an opportunity to let John a second chance not to go into a tailspin. And he himself has been very, very candid and vociferous, telling the appointment, if I hear anything about you about corruption, I'll hand you over. Not like Nanado, who decided to clear people. I'll hand you over, and if I hear that you are angry, you make all sort of comments, you are disrespectful, you are arrogant, well, we'll let the people deal with you. So I think we need to protect the president as we speak right now, which is why some of us will criticize him for using his brother's airline. I don't think, anyway, let me leave it there, but I think it is important that we have these guardrails right now before we start beginning to ask ourselves whether we did the right thing. And I think for me, these are the lessons.
In fact, so we didn't even get to the conversation we've been having so far. Hasn't been much about the area you touched on, but I think it's a fair point that you actually even went ahead of us to getting to, some of the questions, because the earlier reference I made was the breakdown of the quantum of the questions on specific issues. So those are two different things, right? I hope you get an understanding, because
I do.
Perfect. Because the analysis that I put out earlier was that 51% or so of the questions asked, that's Sam George, was on the past comments he had made. And then just about 10% on his education and so on. Yeah. And then even, in fact, less than 10% on the sector that he's even going to take over as a minister. That's where the issue was. But much of the concern has been raised. Yes, you want to make a point on that very quickly.
Yeah, can I make a quick point on that? I totally understand you, and I yield to your point that, clearly speaking, disproportional in terms of the questioning and all of that.
Right.
Having said that, though, you'll be surprised to learn that the sector-specific questions were fully asked. Listen, the question was asked about MMP, significant market player. Questions were asked about the 5G and the corruption possibly around.
If you say, in your view, it was fully asked.
Hold on.
Okay, hold on. Let me make this point, please.
Because, look, we studied that sector, and some of us, I don't want to overestimate its importance, but I listened to most of the questions, and I think the significant questions concerning that sector were fully asked. Fully asked. I won't disagree with you on that one. But I've got to say that on the issue about 52% or whatever about it, things you said, it happens all over the world. Look, Hexef and the guy in the States, many people, when they were being questioned, they were questioned about the things that they've said in the past. Look, didn't Donald Trump go through the same thing? Silly stuff is said and done. He's my man, by the way. Silly stuff is said and done. Nearly affected him in the 2016 election. They brought it back. They did all of that. It's the game of the politics. I don't quite listen. It's the strategy of the minority going into this vetting that they had, and they were executing it perfectly. I don't think so. So you have to ask yourself, why was he allowed to ask 152 questions, 79 questions? Why? Why didn't they cut him at some point? Clearly speaking, that's their strategy. If some people decided to use all the questions to him, and then he went on. Look, I have nothing wrong, but sorry, sector specific questions. I think the most important questions for that sector are taxes. MTN has over 40% of them. Even some answered correctly and said it's only MTN that has 40%, the rest 20% or so. Well, fine. Coverage, he said we punish people if they don't give us coverage. What about single market player, 5G rollout? He answered all the questions that matter. Cybersecurity. First of all, he did all of that. So maybe yes, but that's the way I understood it anyway.
But then again, the questions, I mean, about, for instance, was one thing that you have spent quite some time talking about, the engagement of Kelly GVG and what he as a minister was going to do. We didn't hear any question about that. But then also other areas that are of also importance into the ministry that he's going into. So some important questions were asked about the ministry that is going into. But from your perspective, all the relevant questions were asked. Maybe
Exceedingly, yes. Hold on.
Yeah.
But even you can subsume, Kelly, if you're going to ask all the questions about the corruption issues, probably alleged corruption issues within that sector, that probably not finished. But I think for me, the most crucial ones, which is dealt with by saying that, look, the ministry, the past minister and the ministry were just not good for Ghana. He said all those things without going into detail. He talked about the 5G and the way it was badly rolled out. He wants to change the way the SIM card registration was done, do it intelligently. And I think he said that they were going to go into some of the things that the present administration did. So for me, it covered it. As for Kearney, I'm sure everybody knows that it's a bad thing and probably will go into it as well. But I'm just saying that on that particular issue, I disagree with anybody who says that almost all the relevant questions for that industry were not answered. I disagree. I mean, this is an industry we work on, we study, my guys write on it all the time, and I read so much of it.
But then you made a brief comment on this chaos that we saw. You said, well, this is normal with parliaments, out there, but it's certainly, we cannot normalize such an abnormality, that act of disgrace in the words of the speaker, as we've seen.
No, I never said it's normal. What I said was that at the risk of berating ourselves that, this parliament is so weird. I'm just saying that there are so many bad issues around the world that you'll be amazed. I mean, parliamentarian gets slapped in Nepal, for instance. I remember one guy, a friend of mine actually in Nepal, actually slapped a parliamentarian once and said, stop going to do foolish things in parliament. That's funny. But I'm trying to say is that what happened was dastardly. And of course, the speaker is right. I think the speaker did the right thing, suspended, and also asked the police. That's the way it ought to be. I'm not excusing what happened as a reckless, and it was really reckless, and I don't understand it. But even there, you see, then we need to go to the root cause of this problem. My understanding, and I've spoken to both sides, by the way, the minority and majority side, those who were in the committee, clearly. The majority side more or less kept this in bad faith, but they agreed that look, we'll do 3 or 4. And they kept pushing the envelope. It's 5. The guys accepted. They kept pushing the envelope. Irrespective of whether minority that spent 100 hours on some job, they had agreed on the number of things they were going to, the number of appointees they were going to vet. So if you then decide that all of a sudden you smuggle 2 people that get to the dead heat of the thing, what do you expect the guys to do? I'm not saying I'm excusing them for misbehavior and throwing things around, but you are kept bad faith. And look at the speed with which they passed the orders yesterday. About 7 nominees within the speed of light, within 49 or about 58 minutes. About 7 people have been
Zagudo, just a quick one, because the Lawyer was there and something specifically happened.
Yeah,
just a quick one.
What happened was that Ablakwa and others had been given letters earlier on that they should come on Thursday at 1 p.m. That letter had not been recalled. They didn't reschedule him. So don't use the word smuggled. Now, they weren't smuggled. You see, it's a committee that gave them letters ahead of time. But because on Wednesday they had to deal with the allegations made by Voma or Oliver, then it disrupted their timetable. But they failed to communicate to Ablakwa and others that don't
who had come with their chiefs and people to the place.
So smuggling is out of the place. In other fact, Afenyomakin even subsequently apologized for that kind of description, etc.
All right, right. Okay, well, I take that back. But I'm just saying that once you agree that you do 3 or 4 on a day, you should have just kept to it. I mean, that's the substantive issue here, really. But anyway, as I said, this process must be looked in again. They need to have clear rules as to how many hours will be spent on it, how many questions people can ask, how many questions ranking can ask. And that is the only way we can get to the bottom of this. As again, in Ghana, when things happen, we all get angst and angry, but we don't look at the root cause of the issue. And I think the root cause has to do with the way the rules of that appointed committee have been structured. It's very important. The other point I need to make quickly before I go is that Yesterday's when the minority decided to recuse themselves from the committee, again is an indication. I think is another reason why we should set clear rules as to what committees must do. Appointment committee. If anybody leaves or somebody 2, 3, or 4 people are not part of it, do they have a quorum? And again, those things have to be clearly stated. So we learn as we go. But anyway, these are my thoughts. Thank you. And
thank you very much for that. But you see, it then brings up a number of questions, as Mr. Franklin Kojo has put out. So I know you wanted to just do some quick reactions to a couple of things that he said before I bring in Daniel Yao Demelovo. But it has to be put on record that on that particular day, at least based on the schedule that we had from Parliament, there were 6 persons that were supposed to be vetted on that day. And that had...
And what were their names?
Pardon me?
And what were the names?
The 6 people that were supposed to be vetted on that day. So, we'll run through it right now.
Okay.
And yes.
I should go through it.
And those 6 first had the... And we'll put that on the screen right now. And you have it.
Okay, I have it.
Quick one.
The Rashid
Purple was number 1.
Murtala and Mohammed.
And those 2 were done.
Yeah.
And then the
George was
Sam George was supposed to be the 3rd person vetted.
Yeah. Then Kofi Adams, 4th. Then after lunch break, it was supposed to be
Samuel
Okujeto. Then the other 3
that
also
was at lunch break. Yeah. So based on the schedule that we had, all of them were supposed to be vetted within an hour, 1 hour each. That is a schedule that was communicated to us here. And so because of that lack of communication to the nominees, that because of the number of times that had, the amount of time, I beg your pardon, that had been spent on Sam George, 5 hours and over, that's what is on the screen right now, 5 hours and over, we would not be able to vet the others as scheduled on that day. Those people, because they knew they were going to be vetted on Thursday, had also brought their people from wherever to come and support them. Mr. Kojo, do you understand the issues now? That's how
totally
come
understand.
This is it.
Sure. I totally understand that. But if they had an hour each, then they should have stayed within the rules. So there again, probably didn't keep their time. But as I said, we keep learning as we go ahead.
The rules don't define exact time, but once, as a committee, you come up with a schedule like this, it means you should live by it, like Franklin is rightly saying. Sure. But we all know it's not practical. It's not practical to do this an hour each for some of these portfolios. And it wasn't rocket science for everybody to know that people like Ablakwa and Sam George would really need, would definitely take a lot of time. There's a lot of controversy around these people, so it's to be expected. You know, Franklin, I don't agree with you when you say that all the questions were answered. I do respect your role, what you've done there. I invest in the sector as well. I don't think that a lot of my issues were effectively captured. Just in case we don't know, the Communications Ministry is responsible for the National Communications Authority, National Information Technology Agency, Cybersecurity Authority, Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications, Data Protection Communication, Accra Digital Center, Ghana Post Company, Ghana Meteorological Agency, Ghana India Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT, Ghana Domain Name Registry, Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission. There are too many issues around here. That needs some kind of strategic insight, turnaround plans for some of these agencies, which were not effectively discussed. You have your particular interest, and I respect that. And for you, it was addressed. But to pass that sweeping comment, I disagree with you. And I think you shouldn't pass sweeping comments like that. But back on your matter, I agree with you that issues of character should be discussed. Everybody agrees here that character should be discussed. The questions about Sam and the 2 Sams, all of them are Sams. We've forgotten the 2 Sams about their wealth or their lifestyle or how they fund their lifestyle, whether it's their education or where they live, are very important to the issue of character. I don't think that we should necessarily say, because we discussed these issues that have to do with their strategic outlook on the sector, and we delving deeper into it, even trying to interrogate how their sector would actually feed into a central, what the manifesto promised as 24-hour economy. I didn't get any of that in there. There's so much room that should have been covered also on the technical side. You said yourself that there are a number of things that were asked that were totally unnecessary. So I think we largely aligned here. It's about how we are portioning the time. And now we shouldn't reduce this conversation just to the two Psalms. Okay?
No,
yes.
True.
What do we say about what is it, Esther Oklu? Linda Oklu? I know you, bye-bye. I mean, so we shouldn't get into the character of Linda Oklu. We shouldn't get to understand how she intends to run or manage the country's largest by GDP per capita, the region, in the whole country. This region, this is the heart of everything. To discuss, interrogate issues on sanitation properly. We haven't discussed it. I know you, bye-bye. And then we think it's okay. If you know them, that's fine. You can know them in your person. It is not about your person. It's about us, the people. We also need to have good insights in the kind of person, the personality, the competences, the strategic outlook, the policy outlook of whoever is going to drive that seat and how it affects us. Our MPs were there to represent us on that score. Question, did they? You know, and it's obvious when you get to SLQ, they didn't. Look at the health minister, Akando. It's a very critical minister. Didn't really interrogate issues much. You understand? We didn't do that. I'm not saying that we don't need to create rules. You know, we cannot be defining everything in this world. There are values we must have as a people. You can't be instructing what should be asked and what should not be asked. The fact that you've been given unlimited answers doesn't mean you should speak recklessly and unguardedly and ask unnecessary questions. You know, that's not it. Once you have been given discretion, the state trusts that you exercise it honorably and properly on our behalf. I don't think that mandate should be taken away from the ranking member. No, not at all. But it should be exercised properly in a way that really carries everybody. Everybody sees the impact and the value in it. But it's not time for showmanship. You know, it's time for us. And you know, I'm getting very frustrated with the MPP. There's a party I've supported before. You know, you look at the likes of Darocha. You look at the likes of J.H. Mensah. You know, when you were talking about mighty few. We are few, but we are mighty few. Yes, you are mighty few. But your might is not in your shouting. It's not in showmanship. It's in the intellectual engagement and strategic engagement you put in place. If when you were a mighty, you didn't organize yourself. You woke up one morning and realized that you were in breach of what do you call it? The one that has the MPs going, the one that nearly knocked them out, the thing that sent them to Supreme Court. It's a function of the disorganization in the party. People are chasing showmanship. Nobody's organizing things. You would have known that those people who were going to stand will create a risk for you. You would have planned for it. Yeah. This is the time. This is what you would have seen from a J.H. Mensah leadership. Okay. Don't make us start missing J.H. Mensah too quickly. But everybody has missed him already. When they ask questions, you remember Honorable Kumbo? Everybody, including the MPP people, want to hear him ask a question. Because you see, it's a proper intellectual engagement. And MPP used to be a party of intellectuals, not Kotoko supporting or has chapter O or circle O of this Wuntumistic spirit in MPP. You have to cast it out in Jesus' name. You have to cast it out because it is cutting across the MPs. And that is what we are seeing in Parliament. Oh, yes. But this is not MPP. This is not the MPP we grew up. No. To know. This is not Kufuado. This is not Darocha. This is not J.H. Mensah's MPP. And you look at these young men like myself.
They are also entitled to form their own identity.
No, you go into a philosophy.
Gentlemen,
I never was a member, but I supported them before.
They made it quite
I
clear.
voted for MPP 4 times, NDC 4 times.
But you are never a member.
I'm never a member.
They made it quite clear why they did what they did. But let's bring in Mr. Damalvo. Oh, hold on. Thank you. Nana, I know you exited in a bit, but let me bring in Daniel Damalvo. Mr. Damalvo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. I mean, we watched the chaos unfold on television, but you were there in person because, as we have indicated, Samuel Okudzeto Blackwell was scheduled to be vetted on that Thursday night. That's why you were there, is it not?
Very well. Yes, that is the reason why we were there. And honestly, Franklin Cudjoe surprised me with some of his positions this morning.
Why?
Well, he's seriously entitled to those views, but I beg to differ with him. To negative benchmark the performance of our parliament, to say that there are other indisciplined parliaments across the world, so ours is okay, is like what government has been doing to us all these years. When government misbehave and you talk, they give you example of the past. We are better managers of the economy, notwithstanding the misbehaviors or the failures in the economy. I don't know how many parliaments Franklin Cudjoe is referring to. We have over 100 democracies in the world. Just a few of them that he knows of. So there are very decent parliaments. We should be benchmarking ourselves positively, so to improve, instead of looking at negative behavior. So that surprised me. Again, he said the minority leader was given unlimited time. How can he be given unlimited time when you yourself has agreed to a published 1-hour interview? So if you have an interview, which is interview or what do you call it, vetting, which is supposed to last for an hour, and you alone spend 2 or 3 hours, how can we say that should be tolerated? Again, how can we say that because you have discretion, you can use it anyhow? The gentleman who spoke just before me made most of my points, so I don't want to repeat it. But what I want to say is that what disturbs me most is I saw 2 things I want to refer to. One of them is on Ghana Web, which is quoting exactly what Afenyo Makin said during his press conference. He said, "You don't expect us to spend 5 minutes on an arrogant nominee." So it is. So it means it is time to pay back, and it is not vetting. I thought the essence of the vetting is to tease out of the nominees the competencies that they have, to see whether they fit for the purpose, they fit for the positions they are going to occupy. I thought that is the essence of any job interview, and the same mindset is what Joe Wise also has. Because when I was on another panel with Joe Wise 2 days ago, Joe Wise also said that, well, the essence of the vetting is to be sure that you qualify. But then if the president in his own wisdom thinks that it is Daniel that should occupy a position, why should I say he doesn't have what it takes to be there? All I need to check is whether he qualifies. In that case, why do you waste our time to say you are doing vetting? You just need a clerk or 2 to look at the documents and say, no, you meet the requirement or you don't meet the requirement. So please, I think the mindset of our leaders must change. They don't seem to understand the role of vetting. I think the vetting should be a more serious business. I agree that your ethical background and etc. can be looked at. I have no problem with that. But then we go into areas where I can, with the, I don't know the stretch of imagination that I can use to see how relevant that was. For instance, talking about somebody joining marshals or the junior marshals and the values there, and whether somebody will understand the virtues and the precepts of marshals if he's not a member of marshal. People read about law and can even discuss law better than some of the lawyers who practice in this country. There are some people who knows about the priesthood of the Catholic Church, but they are not priests, far more than the priests. So I thought that was not the platform to waste. And the parliamentarians or the members of the committee, there's one thing they forget. They've forgotten that they are not wasting only their time. They are wasting time of other Ghanaians who want to know or who are interested in some particular sectors. Maybe you are going to be in charge of health. You want to know who is coming. Is the guy the type of person we should expect, and etc. To conclude, in a situation where they themselves says that they gave a waiver such that the appointments were not advertised. Normally, it would have been advertised for almost 2 weeks before the interview. This was not done, so they could not get any input from the society. I thought they should have emphasized on the subject matter experts who would tease out everything. Look, Akando, very quick run through, the Accra Regional Minister Designate, quick run through. Some of them is like, oh, you are welcome, goodbye, go. We can't do that. If you have a 1 hour scheduled vetting, international practice will require that you go close to the 1 hour. At least they will vet you for 50 minutes, but not 7 minutes or 80 minutes. And then someone 5 hours. I don't think we should use the vetting to settle personal scores, be it political or partisan or whatever it is. That is not the tool, and that is not the platform to be used in settling those scores. Thank you.
I see, and it's a very important point you make about how the questioning was done, and then also what led to this particular incident. Now, if you listen to the explanation around the chaos, the justification was that there was a certain agreement, and so even if 5 hours was spent on a nominee, the majority indicate that this schedule was supposed to have been complied with. The minority says, yes, 5 hours was spent, the time has already been spent, so let's push to the next day those nominees that have already been scheduled, one of whom you were there to support. Then we see this chaos, this act of disgrace that played out in this parliament. The Speaker has taken some measures to address this. Mr. Domolovo, you've seen those measures. If you haven't, we could just run through it briefly, suspending 4 of them, three minority MPs and Nelson Ross Tafiamokpo, the majority chief whip, the minority chief whip as well, and the second deputy whip, all in there. How far-reaching will this be? And also, that chaos that we saw, is there any justification whatsoever for it?
Thank you very much. Let me say kudos to the Speaker. When I heard it yesterday, I was very happy that he took a very quick and swift action and did not spare them. I think we should not countenance misbehavior in any form. Again, sorry, Franklin Kujo has his views and is entitled to them. But if people are cutting each other in Rwanda, should we say that in Rwanda there was genocide, so we can kill some of our people? No, we don't do those negative benchmarking at all. Killing and stealing is worldwide. So should we encourage it in Ghana or justify it in Ghana? Those negative benchmarking are not, there's no room for them. Hence, I say kudos to the Speaker. The speed with which he addressed the issue, I think, is necessary. It is commendable. And I will urge that maybe the guidelines given to them may have to be revisited and addressed. For instance, if you say that the ranking member or maybe the minority leader can ask all the questions that he wants, and we realize that there is abuse of it, then it means we now have to come out with specifics to say, well, during a 1 hour interview, you as a minority leader, you have 10 minutes, or you have 15 or 20 minutes to ask all your questions, or you are entitled to 5 questions. Or maybe if you come out with 5 questions, you can do 1 or 2 follow-ups for each of them, so that we manage the time. Now, if you people advertise that we are going to interview 7 people, and you spend all the time settling personal scores, because if I get Afenyumakun's, well, he was settling scores, because he said, we can't spend 5 minutes interviewing you when you are arrogant. So it was payback time. So if you spend all that time, then we have to also pay for it and stay in and interview the others, because they are prepared. It is not some judge, it is not Okujeto who asked him to continue asking questions. So you can't eat your cake and have it. You want to spend all the time on one person, then say that, oh, okay, now I am tired, I am going home. No, you have wasted the resources of other people and their time. see the number of people who were following. In fact, when I got there, I was also disturbed anyway because I thought we shouldn't have so many people following. I thought we would just be about 10 or something of that nature. And I, in particular, wanted to use the opportunity to witness it for the first time. I had never witnessed it personally before. But when I reached there, I was like, no, I think this is also not on. And yesterday, it was well regulated, and I think that's how it should be. We should just have a few people. If people should give moral support, we don't need the whole room filled with people. And if you ask my colleague who was there, it was terrible. At a point in time, I was saying we should just go, but people were not happy with me saying we should go, so I stayed. I want to be a team player. So I think that we need to look at the Parliament may have to look at the rules of this vetting or the appointment committee carefully and put limits on number of questions and also a minimum time to be spent on a nominee. It is not right to say that because we know you, you come to an interview and say, how are you? Tell us about yourself. And say, oh, okay, we know you, so goodbye. No, it is never done. Then why do you invite the person in the first place? So you should have just said, we will approve because we know him or her. I think the essence is not only to tease out the competencies of that person, but also to showcase to Ghanaians that, yes, this is the right guy for the job. Give confidence to us. So you can't say that, well, I know Martin Kwebu, for instance. So when Martin comes in for job interview, I just say, Martin, how are you? Have you eaten this morning? Okay, I know you, you are right, so go. No, we don't do that. It's unprofessional. There must be consistency. There must be some minimal time spent on each nominee and some basic questions. In fact, questions which will test their competence, irrespective of how good we think they are, must still be repeated or asked, so that we can benefit from the answers. Again, I find it preposterous that same question is repeated. At times, one person asks the question and the next person also comes in and asks the same questions. If you notice some of the questions that Apenyuma Kings was asking yesterday, at a point in time, he recused himself and went away. His colleagues asked those questions. He came back and repeated the same questions. And there I was also disappointed in the chairman. I thought the chair should have exerted his opportunity to say, look, you can't take advantage of your absence to send us back to questions which have already been asked. So when you ask the question, and I know it has been answered already, I overrule you so that we move on to the next one. So it is a learning process, and no institution is perfect. I think we should learn from this, and it will be great if the speaker will take the necessary initiative to reform or revise the modus operandi of the committee. And as for his disciplinary action, thumbs up for him. I think he has done the right thing, and he should continue disciplining them, because it is unacceptable that the leadership of the country would rather be showing acts of indiscipline. Thank you.
Well, and so you support that. In fact, as for the reform in the rules of the vetting, is part of what the Speaker has outlined, the emergency actions. So you're right. He is on the path that you want him to be on in reviewing those rules. But you also support that demand that the MPs who are found culpable should be made to pay for the cost of the destruction of the table and the microphones as well.
Exactly. That's what they were doing to school children, isn't it? If students went on demonstration and broke things, they would don't even only pay for, they made the parents pay for and call the parents to come and sign a bond. Of course, these ones are mature people, so we don't need to bring their parents. But they do not just pay with interest. There must be penalty on top of it. You can't, as a government official at that level, be seen to be destroying government property. It's a break all the chairs. I heard one of them, I don't want to mention his name, but if you play the tape, he's a break all of them. I'm saying, my goodness, what is this? So I think he should not only recover the cost of the repairs, plus a penalty, in addition to the suspension. All the people captured in the video who facilitated in breaking the furniture and the speakers and etc. should be surcharged. And the surcharge should not just be the cost. They must pay penalty.
I see. So you support, you're saying that you heard one of the MP saying break all the tables, break all the chairs.
Break the tables, yes. I don't know his name, but if you play the tape, you will get it.
He said it in tree. You heard it. There's a
yes.
No, he's saying it. You can hear him. I don't know whether you have that video, but I have that video.
And you were there and you saw him. You heard
yes.
I mean,
yeah.
But there's no machine in it.
You see, it is a different story when you watch it on TV, because actually the camera can only look at one place. But if you were in the room and you saw the chaos and said, "This is Parliament," sorry for crying aloud, this is Parliament. These are the guys who are supposed to have oversight responsibility for the country. In fact, whatever the executive do, they're supposed to have oversight over them. And they are behaving like this? My goodness. One day we will find the same, and we are trying to justify it. One day we will see in our courtrooms exchange of blows, and we say, oh, people fight in courtrooms. We should not tolerate indiscipline anywhere we find it. And we should never justify indiscipline, because it is happening across the globe. I don't subscribe to that type of mindset.
Zanamolo, stay with me, and let's, during the week, Nelson Rosendafiamako raised concerns about this, the length of questions that the minority leader, the ranking on this committee, was asking. Then the chair of the committee, Bernard Ahiafo, had this to say in response. Let's take a listen to him.
To ask, honourable members, with all due respect, I belong to a school of thought that believes in the fact that when a procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, you follow that procedure in exercising the right. By practice, convention, an agreement at this committee's meeting, it was resolved that a ranking member of the committee would have unlimited number of questions to ask. I do not believe that any member of the committee available at which that decision was taken should come to the floor and take a decision contrary to what we have agreed upon, contrary to the practice and conventions. So please, let us not create the impression practice and conventions. So please, let us not create the impression that this is the first and I belong to a school of thought that believes in the fact that when a procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, you follow that procedure in exercising the right. By practice, convention, an agreement at this committee's meeting, it was resolved that a ranking member of the committee would have unlimited number of questions to ask. I do not believe that any member of the committee available at which that decision was taken should come to the floor and take a decision contrary to what we have agreed upon, contrary to the practice and conventions.
So, Mr. Damalovo, that's the chair in response to that concern that you raised, that they have been agreed upon, that the ranking should have unlimited time.
Yes, then if they agreed upon, then they are contradicting themselves. I beg to differ with the chairman. If they really agreed that the ranking can ask unlimited questions, then they should not put any time frame to the interview. They should have just numbered them that health minister, then we go to foreign minister, and so, and don't put, when you put an hour, then I think common sense should tell us, that you must ask questions within a certain time frame. So there becomes a limit. So I don't agree with him. If they really agreed that the minority leader could ask several questions, then the question I ask is, all those questions, the 100 and so 100 and more questions, they were expected to all be asked within an hour, together with the other people's questions. So I disagree seriously with him, and I think the reforms that the speaker is talking about need to come in. They should not forget that if they have their time to waste, they should know that other Ghanaians are also interested in the vetting. They want to know who is coming and who is going to be our leader. So they should not waste our time. They should go to the point, and they should desist from using the opportunity to settle scores by saying that as for you, we know you. As for you, you have been a problem for us. So it's time to teach you a lesson. No. Tease out of the person the type of competencies, the skill set, etc. that he or she has, so that we can have confidence in the government and not to say, hey, you are our friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, Senor,
one
quick
of the
one.
things we must definitely touch on is the majority and some of the comments. I would like my colleagues as well as Mr. Domloville's view on it. Then the majority people come, oh, I'm very happy. I want to congratulate you. I'm very happy you have got it. We know you. You've been standing by my side. I know you do a very good job. And then this jobbing. Then thank you. I wish you all the best. What is that?
What is that?
If you don't have a question to ask to interrogate issues, it's not here to come and sing praises.
No.
I don't know if people are negotiating contracts for their constituencies by those things. We should stop doing these things. This is a very serious exercise. And I know you do well. If you want to prefer advice, yesterday Ricketts Egan went on a long stretch trying to advise Okujeto. That's fine. I thought it was a little too long. He could have compressed the same thing and said it. He was going a bit in circle, but I mean, you are my guy, but you can do it better next time. But the praises and praises and praises and praises for somebody being nominated makes no sense. That is not vetting. The person is brought here for you to interrogate his competencies and ability to deliver, his character. All of them are important. Ask him the question. You spend 5 minutes just trying to introduce yourself, introduce the person, how you knew him, when he was born. I mean, please, we should stop this thing.
Okay. But you see, Nana, maybe while we look at the action of the minority and also the majority as well in some of the questions that they asked, maybe the committee itself also contributed to the chaos. If what I just played of the chairman is anything to go by, because this is the chair of the committee saying, well, we went into a meeting, and by convention and practice, we have all agreed. And Davia Mekwa, who was even raising concern about the length of time of the questioning by the minority leader, was said to be in the same meeting, according to the chair, and that it had been agreed upon that the ranking should have unlimited time. I mean, what sense of reasonability can you apply to a resolution like that? And then it results in a problem like this. We cannot just be looking at just the minority's actions, is it not?
Yeah, well, Alfred, the comment by my good friend Daniel Domlevo, I think deals with this matter very, very well, because if even you have a rule or a procedure that the ranking member has an unlimited number of questions and so on, you are the same people who have put out a schedule and have allotted 1 hour to each nominee. So how is that going to be? Secondly, even if you have discretionary power, I don't think what you want to do is to push it to absurdity because you have discretion. The Bible says that we have the right, the chance to do everything, but it's not everything that is expedient. So the fact that the ranking member has the leeway, that chance, doesn't mean that when you yourself know that you are other people lined up, then you should stay on your right, so to speak, forever. So I think the way Mr. Domlevo deals with it, I think it's a matter of common sense. And two, once... Yes.
I asked this question about what would be the reasoning behind a decision like this, that a particular person, in fact, their ranking, would have unlimited time.
Alfred, I will simply say that
I want to understand.
Alfred, I think it's the evidence before us now would show that that decision is a wrong decision. It is not a very practical decision, and that because we have seen this chaos, maybe it's a good time for the Parliament as a whole and for the committee itself to look at some of these things that are showing to be lapses. But Alfred, I need to ask for your permission to...
Well, you make your last point, quick one, and then you can leave.
Yes, to leave. Before I leave, I looked at the two issues that you have here. I'll just drop my comments on them very quickly. On the bribery against appointments committee, goes back
those
to
allegations.
Them, those allegations. And then the Attorney General dropping cases against some high-profile former government appointees. First of all, I would want to know whether the protocol or the practice is that when committee members sit, Parliament has an allowance. If that is what it is, then you cannot talk about bribery. But if there is no such thing, but that the government, the incumbent government, is possibly finding a way of influencing the posture and the decision of committee members, then that one, we may have to look at it, because there were all sorts of rumors about the previous government, the MPP government, bribing members of Parliament, bribing committee people to pass certain nominees who clearly were going to have difficulties. We heard lots and lots of those stories. So maybe those would be the reasons why people would be questioning whether there is any bribery thing involved. So we need to know, what is the procedure? What is the protocol? If you're a committee member, you sit on appointments committee, this is the protocol, this is what the government or Parliament itself does in terms of some recognition or some honorarium. So that one, I think, has to be cleared. And then two, about some of these high-profile cases that have gone on for 8 years. No conclusion in the courts. And then the new government comes, the Attorney General looks at it and said, forget it. I will give you one example. Dr. Stephen Upuni. This matter has gone on for 8 years. And under that government, the courts and everything, we had talked about that. I discussed some of the details, and it looked to me that it was going to be difficult for Upuni to be successfully, prosecuted. Look, I saw this one case, a BBC report on an ex-senator in the US. The trial took 8 weeks, and it was finished. The man has been sentenced to 11 years in prison. 8 weeks. The matter was closed. 8 years, a government cannot finish a case. It looks to me, it probably was political persecution rather than judicial prosecution. And I really want to thank God for my friend, Dr. Upuni, and I wish you and the family very, very well. I'm happy this matter is behind you now.
Well, you've gone ahead to say a number of things on the other issues that we'll talk about, but all of them are connected somehow. It's some 30 minutes to the top of the hour. So, Madam Zado, why would you blame, really, Alexander Penyoma-King for asking this length of questions if it was by convention that what he was doing was actually right, per the committee's own conventions and rules and their agreement? As the chairman of the committee, the first deputy speaker, indicated, Penyoma-King was only doing what he was so allowed to do by law and convention, as had been agreed upon, is it not?
Well, I mean, yes, we, like Nana Ohinto said, there are certain things that you have your discretion, but you exercise your discretion prudently, knowing that, I can go through my questions, which ones point to the ethical behavior of the person, which one points to his competence, which one makes us look like that, and sieve out what you think that may not necessarily elicit a certain kind of... So you can weight your questions so that it doesn't have to be so long, knowing that you have several people to vet. So the fact that you have unlimited time and unlimited questions doesn't necessarily... So if he decides that he wants to go on for 2 days, 3 days, is that...
Well, you should be blaming the committee and its chair for that.
But you
in
see,
the first place. That's the root cause of this entire issue we're talking about.
No, you are given a certain responsibility. And in that responsibility, that you have been given discretion to exercise that responsibility. You do so prudently. You would manage it wisely. That's what wise people do.
Well, they always make reference to being vetted for 2 days.
So it was okay. Was it okay? Did we find that process valuable? Was it okay? Did he turn out, when they finished doing that vetting, did they elicit such a response that we had chosen the best? You understand? Because look, the vetting process is for us not just to come and rubber stamp people to go, but it's also for the public to look at whether the person is qualified by training, by experience, by education, and not just political affiliation. You understand? These are things that are documented. So we would want to see that. If it's going to take 2 days for us to see that, then maybe we need to think about that again. You understand? So, I mean, he took 2 days. So you want to take 2 days for Okujeto, you want to take 2 days for Lindo Klu, you want to take... I mean, can we go on like that? We can't. Then that's why he said that we must weight our questions. You understand? Such that if your question is structured properly, it will bring out certain aspects of a person. Right. It may show the person's character up. You may see the person's temperament. You may also see whether the person has a certain ethical base. You may also see the person's what they think in terms of conflict of interest. Because in this country, conflict of interest seems to be, I don't know, I mean, something that we don't seem to understand. And then you want to look at the potential for certain shortfalls that may happen. But the vetting process is also about accountability. Right. You understand? The person is coming, you are asking certain questions to see what they have in store for the people of Ghana and that position, and make them accountable to us. So, I mean, I think that is what should happen. And you don't need to have 2 days, 3 days to do that. If it is a criminal investigation, maybe a Senate sitting down to look at a criminal thing and they're bringing in certain evidences and they're doing those things. Yes, you can imagine that will take 2 days. But really, if we need to vet this thing, if we structure our questions properly and we weight them, it will be the same. But there are certain things that I believe that the committee is part of the disorganization. I was just asking Senor that the Wednesday that they vetted, they had the case with what's his name, Oliver. Yes. Did they have to spend the whole day doing that? I mean, did they vet anybody else after that? No, they didn't. In fact, they had previously spent hours debating whether they should call him in front. Those hours that they were debating, meanwhile, they had sworn in a nominee, and they were busy debating whether they should bring in Oliver. And then they bring Oliver in, and that's it. That
was the business of the day.
That was the business of the day. And you know that you have certain tasks at hand. Could they not have just done that as one part of the business of the day and maybe vetted 1 or 2 more people if they think that, we have to crush things quickly? You understand? Right. So any plan must also make for contingency. I think they didn't make for any contingency in terms of people making remarks that they have to haul them in front of them to ask, you understand? But then if you make a plan that is flexible, you know, and yet properly structured, you can bring in those things that happen unexpectedly and still not go off track and not force people to go into the situation in which we saw in terms of, okay, it's 10 o'clock, but we still want to bring everybody in. You know, so I think that organization of the committee itself leaves so much to be desired, you know, and that if some of these things were done better, yes, the behavior, as for the behavior, that we cannot condemn it enough. It was totally, for mature men to do that. You know, in this country, yes, I heard this thing say that we are patriarchal. They say so patriarchal. This thing, so etiquette is only for women, eh?
Oh no.
Yeah, no, but you know, Haruna was saying that in a patriarchal society, so the issue with MFR, and she's a woman. You know, we can play what. I mean, yeah, you understand?
Women,
but then it makes it look like in this country, etiquette is only for women.
Well, no. I mean, that's not the case.
But that is, you said that is not the case.
If that was,
but that is our reality also. You understand? Where, I'm sure that if
thanks to what happened in the chaos, MFS matter is now resolved.
Okay, so please round up for me.
Yes, but I think that, should we go on to the next? I wanted to speak about the minority and their you know, their press release, because yes, I agree that the speaker, he's brought 4 people to be suspended. People are saying, it's preemptive. Why are you suspending them even before they are punishing before? It is a socially acceptable measure for totally unacceptable behavior. You understand? I think in law, and the lawyer should correct me, there's something about preemptive punishment, isn't it?
But it's not.
But you see, and this is where...
No, but I mean, really, is it a punishment?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a punishment. So fine.
So let me bring in...
Yes. But I think that there should be more people than the 4. I absolutely agree, because if you look at that chaos, it wasn't just these 4. Yes, these 4 may have been the very obvious people on set, but I think maybe I guess they are investigating and the more people will come up. But I think that for my mind, I think society as a whole, we are not even thinking, like I said, it is a socially acceptable punishment for totally unacceptable behavior.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Senor, you comment. But let me bring Lawyer Martin people, because I need to go for this quick break. That bit about this suspension of these 4. Now, yesterday after the speaker's communication, I had some lawyers call me and say, well, there's going to be an investigation that the speaker has instructed that it be conducted. So why the suspension before the investigation? So that if some of the persons suspended are found to be innocent, then what? Is that
absolutely. So that's the problem, because it's difficult to see exactly where the speaker is quoted sections. Yes, we've seen the Parliament Act 300, all those. Yes, the speaker is to maintain dignity, etc., right, in Parliament. But to totally suspend a member from the sitting, it's difficult.
For 2 weeks.
Yes, it's difficult to, justify legally. So perhaps the suspended members should be looking at suing. We all want
to sue who? The speaker?
Yes. Either he withdraws the decision, or they should sue. Because that's a democracy we are building. Because if we don't, we're a country of laws. So if you want to take such a drastic action, then let it be very clear in the law. Because when you read those sections, the speaker has the powers to maintain the dignity of the House and all that. Does that also involve just outright suspension of a member? Outright suspension straight away without a hearing? As I'm saying, we are all learning. I cannot
profess to know all the answers. Where the Constitution wants to give express powers of suspension, it does so. You know, in the Article 146 proceedings, well, like a judge, a justice of a superior court, if a petition is made against that person, right? Yes, and the proceedings, the president can suspend. So that one, you find that it's been expressly provided. But, you know, this speaker's own is something that's difficult to, you know, justify. Because in law, we have this common principle that where the lawmaker wants something done, the lawmaker would ask for it expressly. So judges are reluctant to write into a law things that are not there. No, judges are reluctant to do so. So in the same vein, it's difficult to see how that is done. So let's look at Article 146, Clause 10. It says that where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, that's talking about removal of judges, the president may, in the case of the Chief Justice, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State by warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice. You say it? Then B, in the case of any other justice of a superior court or of a chairman of a regional tribunal, acting with the advice of the Judicial Council, suspend that justice or chairman of a regional tribunal. You say, then it also says, the president may at any time revoke a suspension under this article. So that's Article 146, Clauses 10 and 11 I've read. So where the Constitution wants to give power expressly, it does so.
Right.
You say. So suspension is quite drastic.
So you say that this for Nelson Rox, Frank Anodompre, Hassan Tampoli, and Jerry Ahmed can sue the speaker.
Oh, they should do. And not just that, I strongly urge that they do, so that we will know where the lines can be drawn. It's a democracy. Let's be careful. Hey, because if we don't find it in there expressly, and the speaker is taking such a decision, we should ask the judges. Let's do so. It's a democracy. Don't play with it. You see, the fact that I know there's anger in the system, blah, 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 one quick justice, doesn't also mean that we should make up laws by ourselves when same has not been provided. I think this matter should go to court. It will help all of us. This is a matter that should go to court. Let's not be shy. You see, we are moving away from the shyness. And you see how we are building. I keep saying that, look, we are making great progress. So look at the number of ministers JM is appointing, 60. It's as a result of what? Conversations like this.
Right.
That people have been hammering that, hey, we are spending too much on ministers. Exactly. Excellent. Yes. yes. So, yeah, we back the table, like, you did 60 ministers. Kudos, right? But you see that the conversations help. So for those who think the talks don't help, please just always remember that today we are having 60 ministers because conversations started over 20 years ago.
True.
People kept complaining, right? So let's do it. We have to throw away the shyness. There's nothing wrong. Yes, that McCoy is NDC, but he can sue speaker so that the courts would clarify what it is. And so in that line, when I mentioned that JM has 60 ministers, please, let's beg you to be clear. Can JM make it clear to us that they are not buying new V8s, that they can use the older V8s that the Akufo-Addo regime left behind? Because I remember when Akufo-Addo came in, that was one of his first promises, that they were not going to buy V8s. There was a moratorium. But after a while, we don't know when they started rebuying. So we are begging the president that he should come out and say something about V8s, new V8s. Let the ministers buy or use their own cars within Accra. Or use the older ones.
The fleet.
There's a fleet of VAs. Let's not buy new ones.
Right.
Yes,
all kinds of very expensive things.
These days, when you drive through town, you see the kind of vehicles with the GV number plate. very luxurious vehicles with a GV. That green number.
The DDP.
The state of
Exactly.
But I mean, well, that's one of them.
Yeah, so let me land.
Okay, that's
so let me
one.
land on this. So please, this provision with red, you know, this 146 proceedings, it affects not only judges. So can you imagine the pool of judges, etc. It also affects the EC, right? And a special prosecutor, right? Another thing. So what I'm saying is that where you want a power of suspension, it's been provided expressly. Suspension is not something that should be lightly conjured. It should not be lightly conjured. Yes, people may be
I don't think the speaker lightly conjured that.
Right now, public opinion, because people are looking for swift justice, we may support. Yes,
But we may be setting a precedent.
Exactly.
That may come back to Hunter.
Exactly. So let's just see what should be done. They should sue. Or maybe speaker should revoke the suspension.
Okay. I'll go for this quick break. When I'm back, we'll get into the issue of beyond just Oliver Bakavoma being made to apologize to the Appointments Committee. That's not the first time they've been accused of bribery. What next should be the speaker's or the committee itself's interest in ensuring that they send a clear message and insulate themselves of these allegations of bribery? Not just suspension, but beyond that, investigating. We also have on our radar this matter of the suspension, the decision to discontinue these high-profile cases by the Attorney General. We have lawyer Martin Pebu speaking expressly on that particular one. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
This is where conversations ignite and stories inspire.
What mental state do you think a woman needs to be to get to the point of saying, I'm just gonna hit and run?
The educational system, it wasn't rich enough to support that dream.
We bring together incredible women from all walks of life who are making waves and lifting each other up.
Their professional lives are even now affecting things like, marriages, relationships.
It takes women maybe 140 years to attain the same leadership as men.
It's real talk, real fun, and a whole lot of love.
The Ladies Circle shows Saturdays at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Yaz Sanitary Pad,
Cowbell Coffee, Betway, Cousins Baby.
What is that one sacrifice you've made in a relationship before?
I had to use my residential fee to help my ex pay his school fees. I used my mom's hospital bill.
The
qualities he mentioned, those moral ones, I have it. I'm smart, obedient, passionate.
My sister, you know what you are feeling is PAIN.
Hey, their own is full, mine is small.
It means you are special. So many are called, but few
are chosen. That's all.
So you don't know.
That's right.
Date Fresh Season 12 shows Sundays at 8 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Enapa Foods, Heaven Insecticide Spray and Coil, Era Air Freshness,
Duffy's Ohima Feminine Mixture, Obuasi Bitters, Nubuna Womwankasa.
This week on Drama in the Kitchen, Emmanuel, he's bringing in his lovely lady Dorcas and as well his ex Belinda.
You purposely got pregnant from him. What were you thinking? You know how long I've been with him? 10 solid years.
I believe that in this world, whatever you want, you fight for it. This week, we probably may have the lowest score ever given. He's also pursuing rekindling his 10-year relationship with Belinda in exchange for probably ending the new one he has with Dorcas. This Sunday on Drama in the Kitchen. Make a date.
Drama in the Kitchen Season 2 shows Sundays at 4 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Betway.
What me po? Sounds na we kusi a. Only a no abese kusi. So na ngasa I dream in some in advance. Ben Martin Gram. Hey! The money that some people could sell more than mamma, not and yen carry.
I hear I said, no man, and yen swear, would you actually the uncle, you will be jay.
Who chrome ever?
Me chrome one. Oh, me grown dear, higher. Oh, baby, I'm a media country, I've been going.
Showbiz 360 shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Betway. Winner big.
Cowbell Coffee.
Hello, Ghana 4. McBrown's Kitchen new season. And I'm a Bribery. Season way. And you're near yen time you will feel no. Aha, you best see I. When's the last time I called kitchen?
When there? Never call kitchen. Never call tea kitchen. When it comes to the bank, and tilapia papusto, we wear it our home. I was in the crib in Yamia Juma. That be retained.
This year has been good or bad?
This year
in general, be fair.
This has been great.
Wow.
Coco.
Coco got tilapia on there.
I don't know.
McBrown's Kitchen shows this and every Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Hisense.
Enapa Foods.
Wemplex 400. Kivo 100% natural hot pepper.
My Life Insurance.
Enedia, mighty power. This is haputi.
Na can be prayer topical. Erade mami ko delay shows. E bon paya.
It's a me bad delay. I mean, Ghana nyina ye delay. Ha na oba interview and that say wo ye true.
Me das.
Me ka just say I'll come on your show.
Me kai pa.
Me mama ka chen say na me ko delay shows o ka chen say ye erade na bia me be you. Say.
Delay mama show na me just say e di na be akodo no. Say your friend wa ma.
Delay show is like the apex. Into one master the answer being CI or carrier.
As when you GB.
The Delay Show is brought to you by Telecel, Yas Sanitary Pad, Nasco, Betway, Gino, Pepsodent, Delay Foods, Tabia Takum.
The Delay Show Sunday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Cristiano Ronaldo continues his record.
Absolutely astonishing, brilliant play. What a dream debut.
Ghana coming out again, the same squad.
For the ball, he's got it. Throw it down, King.
Sports Station now shows on Mondays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
Welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We are live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. This morning, I am clothed by Cogra Clothing. It's the best version of you. Locate them on the Spintex Road, 18 Junction, opposite the Allied Oil Filling Station, ground floor, same building with the Ghana Made store. Call them on this number for this outfit and many others that you've seen me wear on Key Point. 0244-238-341, 0244-238-341. That is 0244-238-341. Choose Cogra Clothing, choose right. A number of your messages that have come through. This one from Professor Kweku Azari. Good morning, Professor Stephen Kweku Azari. Thank you very much. He says, the vetting process has evolved into theatrics and perfunctory formalities, essentially meaning that there's more like a charade. Prioritizing gotcha, quote unquote, gotcha moments over substantive evaluation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got you.
This often results in endless, unproductive questioning. That's gotcha moments. Subjecting nominees and the elders and the family members who accompany them to unproductive scrutiny and, at times, disrespect. To restore its integrity, vetting should be conducted by the relevant subject matter committee rather than a general appointments committee, ensuring a more informed and rigorous assessment. Additionally, clear time limits must be established to maintain focus and efficiency. And that particular recommendation, a number of, in fact, my guess, all of them have made that same proposal as well. And a number of you raising questions about the video I just played of the chairman of the committee, Bernard Ahia, for that resolution of members of the committee having unlimited time. A number of you are asking on what basis was that agreed on. Honestly, I can't answer that. I was just hoping that as we try to get through to Bernard Ahia for himself, maybe he would just make some time and join us. We've been calling him for quite a while to just get some understanding of what went into that resolution. Good morning, Alfred. I think it's essential to involve neutral, non-partisan technocrats in the vetting process of ministerial appointees. This would ensure that the process is fair, unbiased, and focused on the appointees' technical expertise. Leaving it to politicians might lead to partisan decisions. I suggest assembling a panel of experts from diverse fields to ask technical and practical questions. Theo, thank you very much for this. This matter has come up before. I remember some time ago, the MP's proposal was that, okay, they can't have you, the technocrats there, send them the questions. They will ask on your behalf. Yeah. But then again, the disconnect there is that when they ask the question, the follow-up will not be as you would have asked as a technocrat. So that's a challenge. This one is providing me a name to the person who was asking the MPs to break the tables and chairs. Thank you very much for your message. In fact, I have 2,011 of your messages this morning. I'll do the best I can to read as many. Good morning. I think it's time we begin to take some of our parliamentarians. Okay. Thank you. I can't read that last part of your message. Good morning. Let Nano Hinnington know that the behavior of the minority is making their base to regain confidence in them. Take a look at the MPP's leadership, who are very outspoken. Oh, unlike the NDC, who appointed a committee member to come to tell a minister designate, congratulations and bye-bye, you say. Thank you. This one says, good morning. Kwame from Obuasi, is Jerry Ahmed a lawyer? Well, I think he is, right?
Yes.
Yes, he is. If he is, let's wait and see what the Ghana Bar Association will do to the lawyers involved in the Parliamentary Vetting Committee chaos. The GBA should speak to our hearing. You say, thank you. This one here says, good morning, Alfred. Do you remember the Martin Mehon? You're taking me down to history moments. Mantra. The MPP as a party and by extension their parliamentarians are exhibiting the definition of that mantra. You say the speaker's action is decisive and must be commended for God and country. Stephen Peng from WA, this is where you have a concern, right? The decision by the speaker to suspend these four, even before investigations take place. Yeah. Well, Lawyer Martin Kpebu says these four MPs who have been suspended must sue the speaker if they are so minded.
It's not just so minded. They must, because
okay, they must
it will help our democracy.
Okay, they must sue the speaker.
MP,
but they have to be minded to do that. You can't force them to.
Or maybe somebody, a neutral person, can just sue for constitutional interpretation.
Okay. You know, so
well, just a quick one on this.
I totally align. One, the contempt. This is how life is. Mm-hmm. Just a day or two before this event, Another prayer was reading the Constitution, Article 122, on general contempt, which says that an act of omission which obstructs or impedes Parliament in the performance of its functions, or which obstructs or impedes a member or officer of Parliament in the discharge of its duties, or affronts the dignity of Parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to produce the result, is contempt of Parliament.
Okay.
He was trying to use this against Emma Hafa. Today, when you look back, who is obstructing Parliament? You see, life, you have to be careful. You have to be very, very careful.
Okay.
There is a case to be made against some of these MPs. I don't disagree with that. But the directives of the Speaker and his submissions, brilliant. He's captured it properly as a proper leader of the House and directed the IGP to take the clerk to report the matter to the Ghana police. That's perfect. But taking that extra step of trying to suspend them, I look into the standing orders, the January 2024 standing orders, largely the provisions from 34 to 36. I don't see the basis upon which he's doing that. And my real problem is that we are depriving citizens of the state legitimate representation in Parliament. Hassan Tampuli is a fantastic parliamentarian. I don't pray. I have problems with him, but he's a potent parliamentarian. My brother Roxanne is my guy, and he is an excellent parliamentarian. Their absence in Parliament would definitely shortchange the quality of work in Parliament. Have they misbehaved? I didn't see the part of Roxanne, but if he's part of it, I want to believe he's part of it. Because there was some physical between him and Hassan Tampoli. Oh. So, yeah. My two brothers, have that aspect of the video. We'll show that video. Rocky, you and Akpa, you cannot do this thing. You have to stop. You can't do that. Okay. But having said that, these are very great guys. They represent the constituency, people of Ghana. For us to just suspend them ahead of investigations and this entire fact-finding or whatever committee that has been put in place, I think it's not fair to the people of Ghana. Right. You should remember, the directive is from parliamentary sittings. Am I right? So it means that even in the main chamber, not just at committee levels, they can't even be there. I think that Father Agbami should review his notes. If he's not willing to review his notes, then the parliamentarians should come together and take action. So we deepen our democracy, set the parameters and boundaries of everybody's action. The fact that it is nice and it sounds okay because of the circumstances around which we are does not make it right. And we must set the parameters right because tomorrow it may be over something else. And if arbitrariness takes the stage, we will definitely have a big problem. Having said that, before we move to these are bribery matters and things, the issue about those who have been released. Which one? The high profile case. No, we'll come to that. No, so hold on. So this one, Sir Ahmed Musa says the chairman should have allowed. It says Okujato Black answer questions about the matters of asset declaration, and I want to find out if lawyer Martin Pebo, in his view, thinks that these questions of asset declaration should be one that the appointments committee should ask, or as the chairman said, should be left to the nominee to declare in their assets declaration form. Council, quick one. Just quick one. Unequivocally, I'll come on the side of open declaration. That's the thing we've been doing here over how many years now, at least for the past 4 years, clamoring every day that we want public officers to declare their assets and the assets be published. So for me, I totally disagree with the chairman, Bernard Ahiafo. Okay. He should let the publication go on, because when we create an open society like that, we'll be helping to stem the tide of corruption. And that's why we've asked His Excellency the President to let those provisions reflect in the bill, the Code of Conduct for Public Officers. And of course, apart from the publication of the assets, as was done in the PNDC era, we've also asked for verification, so that the Auditor General or any new agency that has been to help him do that will go and verify that all the assets exist, so that, as Mr. Domlevo will tell you, so that no officer will do anticipatory disclosure. He's not yet bought the property, but he will put it on the form so that later he will buy and feel like. You see? And of course, the reverse bidding. That the law should also have the reverse bidding. So that for any officer, once we find you with property and you cannot explain your source of wealth, like as provided in Article 286, then that's it. We'll take it. So that one will be civil. Right. Because criminalizing everything is difficult. You remember how we are struggling with the cases, the businessman who went to Parliament with a lot of money. Ghana must go back. You see, Apia Kubi did not disclose the name of the business. Okay, Apia Kubi is not here. Thank you, gentlemen. I need to do this very quickly. Okay. And
This one here says, the Speaker's decision to direct a 7-member committee to commence a full criminal investigation and suspend the 4 MPs from the vetting is a step in the right direction. Some of you have different views on this. Musa Abattoir and Aswan say, thank you.
Did you hear? Where is the law? We are asking that the people say
it must have a special provision.
But can I just a quick one that I wanted to ask, because when you were talking about sources of income and things like that, I'm in the clinical trial space, and sometimes you have to fill in financial disclosure forms and things. And it is not just you as the researcher that is filling in. They also want to know whether your husband or something has it. I don't know whether for public, our public officers, whether, we need to find out those things about spouses also.
Yes.
Because look, I mean, somebody, let's say Sam George, he says what, 10 out of 12 days he flew to London to go to school. Any serious questioning would have said that, how were you funding that? For 10 out of 12 days you flew to London to go to school for several days. You were doing that for a number of years. How were you funding it? And it's not enough to say that my wife took care of me. Well, how does your wife earn her money and stuff like that? I mean, we could have also asked, how much money do you make? What money does it? And then importantly, he's an MP. What sittings did he miss? How many sittings did he miss? These are the questions we want to hear and answer, because if somebody has been negligent in a sense of duty there, then what is he going to do when he becomes a minister? These are some of the questions that we should have asked.
My brother,
you understand?
So the current... However we look at it, I totally agree with Martin. We can't hide behind asset declaration to run away from questions about our wealth. We need to explain our wealth.
But it wouldn't be wrong for the chair to also make reference to the current position of the law, is it not?
No, I don't see how that question is disrupted by the current position of the law. And I think that, thankfully, Okujeto is an anti-corruption
exactly. He's a crusader, lead crusader.
So that's also the complication in the conversation. And that's why Franklin raised that matter. Sam George, too, is also one of those who are very vociferous on the issues of oral and all that. I think that if we really want to fight corruption, we need light.
Okay.
All right? We need light. And politicians must lead the charge as far as being transparent about their wealth, their source of income, and their lifestyle. It should be explicable. It should be very explicable. The more inexplicable it is, the more we encourage and facilitate corruption. But the people who were asking the question, they themselves, have they answered their own lifestyle questions? The people sitting there, you are trying to go after Okujeto, go after yourself first. This thing they start, the people sitting there, I know a lot of them. Right. They will be hot more than everybody. So this thing you are doing, the Bible says remove the speck in your eye before you try and remove the log in another person's eye. After we will understand by waiting to see the log. But I beg you, when you are talking, think small about your own self too. So they should also live by example. If you are calling Okujeto, those of them who are also my neighbors, as Franklin said, also explain yourself. You can't explain yourself too. So please, be patient. Be patient.
Okay.
Not because you've got somebody you think you want to show creative powers. It will come back to bite you. Lawyer Kofi tells me something. I wish we get him. He says that he goes sometimes against his party people on the issues of the law because he's an advocate of the law. If today, for just political expediency, he favors his party, tomorrow he has to go and face that throughout his life because of the precedent it sets. So when you are starting, you should know that you are opening a can of worms and you go inside.
Well, Dom Nick says they have to be suspended to allow for proper investigation. That's what democracies do. I really don't know what you mean by that. Doche Daniel says, Matic Pebu, you said it's a matter of law. As we speak, the law doesn't allow public servants to disclose their assets publicly. There's one here. So, Evergreen Jokpe says the Speaker said the Privileges Committee has not been set up yet, and he is assuming that role to suspend them. He made a basis for his action. So it says that this call to have him sued, in your view, you say is without any basis. Charles Chisenu says, I disagree with Senor Hosi that the Speaker offended in suspending. Does the police not arrest you before conducting investigation? To me, the speaker is right. Okay, thank you.
So they hold you
and a
for
number of you.
48 hours.
So thank you. This is what Oliver Bakavomawa said quickly in just 3 minutes on this matter. Take a look.
This is words in the book. Please, are you going to render apology? We are not interested in what Manasseh has said in the past. Please. Please.
Mr. Chairman, I crave your indulgence for context and clarity. I crave your indulgence for context and clarity as to why my post. In the book, Mr. Manasseh said, Muntaka never mentioned that the only cash that came to the appointment...
Mr. Oliver Bakavomawa, are you going to do justification or you want to render an apology and we close this meeting?
Mr. Chair, I have no intention to lecture the committee. If the committee resolves that the context of the post is irrelevant to the commission, the question here, I'm happy to proceed as the committee has directed. Now,
proceed as the committee has directed.
Mr. Chair, I am saying here clearly that my post was not intended to disparage members of the committee, and I have not intended to say that members of this committee have received or demanded bribes from various individuals. At no point was my statement intended to communicate same. And for those reasons, I apologize. Mr. Chair, the reason why I have left the post on and not deleted it, in fact I did contemplate it, was because I saw that the words had been twisted and that it became imperative on me that I maintain the post in its original form. That if I was questioned on it, reference can be made to be able to verify it. This is the reason why it wasn't deleted.
Well, so that's Oliver Bakavomawa. In fact, he's the only person outside of Parliament to even allege bribery against this appointments committee. In previous instances of allegations of bribery against this appointments committee, it has been made by members of Parliament, and in some cases, members of the appointments committee themselves. Some of the people Blackwell at some point had made that reference and allegations of bribery. George Kwekoro Hagan at some point as well. We saw Mohamed Mutab Mubarak and some of the issues that came up. Now, beyond this, setting up committees and having the people who are alleging appear before them, interrogated, and then eventually made to apologize. What should be done beyond that? Is it a matter worth investigating to put an end to it and also ensure that it doesn't even happen again? Quick one.
My brother, who is going to investigate this matter? Has anybody given you a receipt for corruption and for bribery before?
No. So asking Oliver to produce evidence.
But if the parliamentarians themselves have come out to say it before, Joe Weiss even said that Chief of Staff is bringing their money. Chief of Staff, are you part of Parliament? So what is the purpose of that money? People go to Parliament. Organizations go to Parliament. Ministries go to Parliament. And we all know what happens. So this thing, sometimes we should stop this thing. We all know the truth, but we are going around the thing roundabout. So if you are realizing that people don't like the thing and it becoming embarrassing for yourself, give your life to Christ and change. That is all.
So this is what Joseph Ose also said. This is what Joseph Ose also said. Yes, I told Manasseh that I joined the appointments. When I joined the appointments committee, most of the time at the close of our work, the chief of staff would bring money to the members of the committee. It's like facilitating our work. I wonder how anybody could link that to bribery. That's
please, Uncle Joe. I love Joe. He's one of the best politicians we have in this country. I love the fact that he's been truthful about it. He has a different, he's just creating a different description of it. Uncle Joe, it's bribery. You can't say anything again. Why is the woman bringing it to you? Is he part of Parliament? Is it part of your emoluments out of Parliament? And when these things come, how does it come? Do they pay into the chest of Parliament? And then Parliament officially writes to give you, is it a sitting allowance? Chief of Staff does not pay sitting allowance. We all know the story, but the story can't be said. So I'm just saying, if you think it's embarrassing for you, give your life to Christ and change. Now, when they bring it from the Flagstaff House or the Jubilee House, depending on which party is in power, tell them that now you don't want anybody to talk your matter. You won't collect again. But we all know. What we know, I don't know. As we know.
Okay. Well,
but I mean, facilitation. What are
to facilitate their work?
No, to facilitate what? No, but are they not giving a certain allowance?
If they are entitled to certain allowance, it's Parliament as an institution.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. But that's what I was getting to that because I would think that will come from Parliament itself. You understand? A certain allowance, etc. If maybe it's supposed to the research, whatever, that should already be coming from Parliament itself, and it should be something that we all know about, we all see, and has been approved. That if you come on the appointments committee, this is for what you do for research. This is this. Yeah. But anything that is coming outside will not be seen in a favorable light, and it doesn't matter what you call it, facilitation. You can find whatever name for it. We will view it as an untoward amount of money of coming to you, and we will call it bribery. You understand?
If I give a policeman some money at traffic lights right now because I have crossed, I'm also paying facilitation for an early exit of the problem. So we're all facilitating.
No, but you see, I think that Parliament itself needs to boost up its image. You understand? And not allow some of these things to go on. And as for going in front of them, the thing is that it is not a matter about truth when you go in front of them. It's not about truth.
It's about what?
It's about, please, they have taken offense, you apologize, you move on. It's as simple as that.
Does it change the perception, really?
No, it doesn't change the perception, and we will continue in our perception if we hear things that are not kosher. But the thing is that once you appear in front of them, please, it doesn't matter what your story is. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter in what context which you said it. You understand? The thing is that you will be found guilty. So you get there, you apologize, and you move on, and you sin no more. You understand? So I think that it's all a learning lesson for us in terms of maybe choosing our words properly and the things that we post out there. I think that we can get our truth across in certain ways that don't necessarily haul us in front of them.
So if the people don't like it, they know what to do.
Counsel, that's a quick one on this matter. Beyond this, we've always seen the cases. Mama Yarga at some point in 2017 accused Jose also himself. That's why he's been explaining this thing about how the money they receive as appointments committee, in what form it comes, that the chief of staff brings it to them after their work. For whatever purpose, he says facilitation. The details of the facilitation we don't know. But then again, they only would come, get these people who accuse them, apologize, and then the case ends there. But it keeps coming up every now and then. Counsel.
Yeah, so let me explain this. On Thursday, I was on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM with Joe Wise, then Samson Ladia, right? We discussed the same thing. Let's clarify a few things. You see, our law on corruption, if you read Section 240 of the Criminal Offences Act, it says that if you agree for your conduct to be influenced, by any consideration, it doesn't matter that the money is even 1,000 Ghana. If you agree that work that you've been given to do officially, you will take any other money or gifts, shirts, cars, or whatever from any other person to do that same job that you've already been assigned to do, then it's corruption. Please. You see, let's not mix the two. Some people are saying, we all know that there is far bigger corruption in terms of the millions of dollars that that are stolen through overinflation, over-invoicing, etc., right? Yes, but what we are discussing is also corruption. So some people, when I was on the program with Joe Wise, he sought to say, like, this is petty. We should talk about grand corruption. This is not the corruption Ghanaians are talking about. We made the point that, no, we disagree with him. So please, viewers, and listeners, the main point we need to get, one, is that by Section 240 of the Act 29, if you agree to take any other valuable thing, it doesn't always have to be money. Any other thing that is valuable. Even some people, you can take, maybe let's say a ticket to a concert. Maybe the concert would have cost 1,000 Ghana. If you accept the ticket to do an official work for which you are already being paid, or even will be paid, it's corruption. Let's not mix them. Then number two, you want proper education on corruption. Let's watch. The fact that the money is given to you when you finish your work does not necessarily mean that it is not corruption. No. Let me repeat. The fact that you receive the money, whatever gift it is, at the end of the work you are supposed to do, okay, doesn't mean that it's not corruption. Rather, what you should be watching is that if you didn't do go slow, or if you didn't tell the person, bring the money at the end, or if you didn't do any other thing to show that you received the money at the end, then that is when you can call it a gift. And of course, by law, you pay tax, etc. Let's repeat. If the person brings you the money at the beginning of the work, then you say, oh, you keep it when I finish, I beg you, it's the corruption. You see, it's very tough, but it's better we explain so that we all be guided. If he brings it at the beginning of the work, and then you say, oh, you go and keep it when I finish, oh, it's influencing you. So let's be careful. But if, let's say, the work has been brought to you as a public officer, you go about and do it, you finish, clean. You weren't giving signals that I'll collect cola when I finish. I'll collect cola when I finish. I'll collect tip when I finish. Or you have to perform. Oh, when I finish, you have to perform. If you don't do all of those, and it is given to you at the end, sure, then that can qualify as a gift. And then you have to do taxes under the Code of Conduct for Public Officers, which hopefully the president will be taking through. You'll see limits on the gifts. So very soon, it's not every gift you can accept. You can't be accepting a house in cantonments, etc. Maybe we should cut it short. Okay.
And this is good in education.
Yes.
So that we all get to know what the position of the law is. Cannot be in any way, shape, or form justified. And that leads us to the next conversation about the cases that the Attorney General has discontinued. And there are about 4 of them, but we're choosing 3 for good reason. The former COCOBOD CEO, Dr. Stephen Opuni, and businessman Seydou Agongo have been acquitted and discharged. High Court directed that they are registered to facilitate the release of their passports. He spoke to journalists after that particular decision by the courts earlier in the week. And this was the notice of withdrawal that we got from the Attorney General's office of all offenses and charges against the third accused. And in this matter, making reference to the Dr. Kasil Atoforcing ambulance case matter that we saw as well. Ivona Takraw-Bobisa is the Director of Public Prosecution. She signed this, dated the 29th of January 2025. And so, as we do know, Dr. Kasil Atoforcing was facing this accusation of willfully causing financial loss to the state, 2.37 million euros. This case traveled for quite a while. And as of June last year, the Court of Appeal acquitted him and Richard Jakba. And within this week, the Attorney General appealed the acquittal. And then we saw as well that decision, in fact, to discontinue the case against Dr. Kasil Atoforcing and Richard Jakba, as communicated by the Attorney General this week. Also, Dr. Johnson Esiama, former Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, and just yesterday, he has been nominated by the President as the incoming Governor of the Central Bank. So this week, there was a discontinuation of this particular case against him. The AG gave reasons why, but we know the background of the accusation against him and how this case traveled all the way from, in fact, 2017, December 2017, he resigned, March 2018, and all the issues that played out until the 25th of January. So we see these high-profile cases and the time that it started and how the things have played out to this moment. Certainly, is it a matter of prosecution or the judiciary in most cases, as we have seen in these high-profile cases, are just used to hound opponents. And that's where the concern about how the executive also uses the judiciary in such instances come to bear. Senor, your thoughts on this very quick one, and I'll go to Lawyer Martin People.
It's been 8 years of the Nanado government. And I say Nanado is the most powerful president we've had. And he's appointed more judges than anybody, I think, right now. Am I right? Yeah. If he really wanted to prosecute this matter to its logical conclusion, that's if there was a logical conclusion, he would have. So there are two things involved. Either there was no case or there was no will to really fully prosecute the cases. Either way, it comes to one point. It's just persecution. If you really wanted to do it and you had a strong case, you should have closed this case quickly. You didn't. You just kept these guys' lives in limbo. Opuni. Agongo's case is a really sad story. And our incoming governor, I really feel so much for him. He's really gone through a very difficult time. I know him. I worked with him before he left office. I met him a number of times. And you could really see the drain of this whole thing on his life. He has not been treated fairly. His family has suffered. He's suffered through it. He's lost friends for it. You know, it's difficult. And I just thank God that the matter's been resolved. I mean, for wherever you are, you know, and KCL's case too, very interesting case. Jakpa is just an interesting character. You know, I think he gave us some good excitement. But this one, the NDC people should learn from this. So, even your majority leader, they didn't have a problem dealing with him. This matter in Parliament that the IDP must deal with, it has to be dealt with properly. You know, and then Opuni's matter. Opuni's life too really came to a standstill. And there was too much stories about Opuni. You know, we arrogated to him a lot of power he didn't even have. You understand? And the man has really gone through a lot. But he's been very mentally strong, Opuni. This man walks and jogs at his age. He's so fit. And he's found his own way around it, even though he keeps to himself. And I'm happy we brought some resolution to it. But my big problem on a governance level is we can't continue to just take one decision and say we have cancelled a case, which was started by another government, and suggest without saying that it's just political. They should give us the legal basis, the governance basis upon which they decided to also stop these processes. So the matter is brought properly to light. I don't want us to just leave the table on the grounds of share politics. If it's share politics, prove it on paper. So these are the reasons, my big brother, Dominic, these are the reasons upon which you are withdrawing the case. You are speaking to us, the public, because you should remember, anytime you go out there, it is the state versus whoever.
But the notice of withdrawal...
I mean, when you sue the Attorney General, suing the state, all right? And then, I mean, in the U.S., they do it more succinctly, where they say the people versus, here we say the Attorney General, right? But Attorney General here... The Republic. So if a Republic, as a continuum, initiated action against anybody, it must have had reasons which are captured. If you are going to discontinue the case, you must have reasons that must also be presented to us, because the reasons will be what will be found at the statement of claim when you are initiating the case. Now, if you're discontinuing it, submit a little brief or report to the people. That for these ABC reasons, we are discontinuing this case. We find no merit in it. This and this accusation, this thing did not have enough evidence to back it. And it should be seen to be very professional. When it happens like that, the Office of the Attorney General gains a lot more respect, a lot more confidence and trust. Otherwise, some people may carry the perception that people had questions to answer, money has been stolen, but they have taken advantage of politics to also escape, which is not the intention that I think anybody should support. One of the things that I really want us to end up seeing is the bank one. the banking crisis, all that 25 billion that we have lost, or whatever the amount it is, those banks involved, and those involved, up to now, except for that guy, the capital bank man, nobody's been held accountable. And we are sitting here, and I hope that politics will not come and say, hey, Mr. A, off. No. People did a lot of bad things. So they shouldn't bring politics into this side. 25 billion of Ghana's money has gone. We can't account for it. It has disrupted our economy. So people must be held responsible and accountable for it. So we go into the matter properly. So I hope that we will come and see.
The money spent on the process that must be investigated.
Those, look, the people had run down the banks and had taken customer funds and misapplied them for the banks to go down. In some specific cases. In some other cases, you realize that there was too much political motivation, especially in the case of Agongo. Agongo's case here was connected to his Heritage Bank.
Not just Heritage Bank, a few others as well.
That's really his case. Among us, him. A lot of people have questions to answer. Let's be honest about it. If we don't set the right precedents, this country will have no proper trajectory. We'll end up in 2028. And another person will come and, depending on discretion, arbitrarily just abuse our interest. 25 billion cedis cannot go unaccounted for. Those who cause it must be held responsible for it. And those who spend the 25 billion must also account for the money.
Thank you, Counsel. On this matter, because then you remember when this first decision to discontinue the cases, and we'll put the notice of discontinuation that is issued in most cases by the Attorney General on these cases, so that the reasons given are captured in there in brief. So it summarizes why the AG has taken a decision through the Director of Public Prosecution to discontinue these cases. But the concern is that it started within a particular period. And so you would expect that no matter how long the case travels, there is some evidence beyond reasonable doubt adduced in court, is it not? But then when there's a change in regime, legally, would you expect that some of these cases really, because it was thought to be persecution, be continued?
So the last part, straight answer is that if there is clear evidence in the public domain that the case is a persecution, that is to say that they are doing the prosecution for ulterior motives, straight away it should be discontinued. A classical example is the Atuforsen and Japa case. We all know that in the tape, Godfrey Dame, and when I say the tape, let's remind ourselves, the tape was admitted by the trial judge in evidence, and so it's part of the record. It was legally admitted. And you hear Godfrey Dame telling Japa that it's Ekufuado and Oforiata who are giving him pressure to prosecute and win the case at all costs. So when you hear such a thing on the tape, which is an official record, I mean, why should any Attorney General continue such a case? The criminal justice system is not used for scoring political points. It's not for a political vendetta. No. So that one, clearly, the reasons are obvious. But let me come. The second point, so, is that I agree with Senyo that we should move forward by advancing reasons. Mr. Ocansey, you said that there is a summary. Please place it there and then place it on the screen.
We'll put it on the screen.
That's no reason at all. It doesn't qualify. It's a democracy. We want to have an open and transparent governance. So if you want to do open and transparent governance, then the reasons that convince you to cancel the case, please put them out there. Let's interrogate. It helps all of us. It helps all of us. I remember when the Gregory Afoko, Afoko's case, when the state saw that they were about losing, they finished the case, right? Then they were to write addresses. Then the state came and entered the nullo prosequi. And they didn't give reasons because the law doesn't make it obligatory. So they had the opportunity to now go and start afresh. And see, even that one, when it came to an end, it resulted in this mistrial, so to speak. Like, they couldn't convict him, right? So, and I remember that the case went to the Supreme Court. So what I'm coming to is that this matter of giving reasons was discussed in the Supreme Court case. where the Supreme Court said that, yes, it makes good sense to give reasons, but currently under our law, it's not by force. They say it is not by force. So I'm thinking that looking at the Afoko case in the Supreme Court, that must have been somewhere around 2019 or 2020. So how many years on? I think it would help our criminal justice system that we amend the law so that anytime we do a nolle prosequi or a withdrawal, let's put the reasons out so that we can all interrogate. Yes, because...
Even though it is the prerogative of the Attorney General.
Yes, so we want to move away from that. Yes, because when I say prerogative, you've seen where an Attorney General has been caught on tape saying that the President and the Finance Minister are pushing him to go ahead. And I said, we don't use that. We are not allowed to do that in the criminal justice system. The law frowns upon it. So now that we have a practical example where an Attorney General was caught using the law improperly, it tells you that then it's about time we got reasons when a case is being cancelled. So that just in case an Attorney General is using the wrong reasons to cancel a case, we will catch him too. It just helps us. We should move forward because in the Afoko case, the South African jurisprudence was discussed where you have to give reasons, etc. And other countries around the world. Right. So let's learn. Let's learn. We should.
And look, it's not just about catching them. Look, it's also just about catching them. It's not about catching them alone. You also set a precedent for others to learn. Okay. So if you got it right, and then you said that these are reasons why, the next Attorney General under such circumstances will be guided not to possibly initiate an action against somebody.
Okay, Madam Susan.
Yeah, I think that President Mohammed doesn't want to.
Oh, before Madam, you continue. So one sentence, footnote. Yes. Oh, so the Afoko case. Afoko is still in custody. Afoko is still in custody. Yes. No, Dr. Ayeni, we beg you. This one, Adabraka. Oh no, please. Afoko is still in custody. This thing should not continue. We are begging Dr. Ayeni. He shouldn't be the one to lead the charges to apply for bail for him. You can't abuse a citizen's rights like that. You keep him, do a trial up to the end. You didn't find evidence, so they quickly filed a nolle prosequi. Went back, reconstructed the case. It went to the end. He was not convicted, and he's still in custody. What kind of law is this? Okay. So what kind of law is that?
Okay, thank you. Madam, quick one.
I think that the president doesn't want to inherit that. Wants to inherit the nickname of President Nana Addo as a clearing agent, and so transparency and open communication is important. So because there's a lot of goodwill, presently, and he wouldn't want that goodwill to be eroded early. So the thing is to ensure that things are done openly and transparently. Yes, I'm sure the AG has a lot of bad cases on his plate that he wants to clear and start something new. And these are the ones that he probably has looked at and says, let me clear them. But in doing that, they should, like all my brothers have said, it has to be done openly and transparently. Why have I cleared them? Because it will be a waste of the taxpayers' money. These are the reasons, these are the legal reasons. Yeah, we can let the lawyers jump up and down on it, but it is there. We can all choose, and he has the discretion of, whether we agree or not, but at least it is there and it is open and we can debate it. It makes us grow. So for me, I think that we do not want the president to get to that level where it looks like he's clearing people who they believe are on his side. The banking thing. The man is just cleared, and then all of a sudden he's appointed. Then I don't know whether, for me, whether the optics are good in that way. Yes, especially since there hasn't been a perfect explanation of why he has been cleared. You get it. People lost money. People's lives were thrown in a bad way. If you are appointing him, yes, he's a professional, right? He's been in the banking space for 20 whatever years. But it's like Caesar's wife. being above blemish. This is somebody who is in charge of our monies. So we want that explanation that, look, this case, this and 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 this, and that's why we believe that we can discontinue. And then, of course, if you go ahead to appoint him to be the governor of the Bank of Ghana, he's not coming with a cloud over his head. You understand? So I think that, yes, it is in the HE's right to clear bad cases from his table, but I think that explanations and more communications should go on.
Well, and Council, so because this is the status quo, your call, is it a new proposal that you want the Attorney General to consider because he is doing as the law dictates, is it not? He's not so bound to give details and explain why a nolle prosequa decision is taken, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So we're saying that we are moving our democracy forward. So we want that explanations be given. Just like you remember earlier on, I read Article 146. You see in it, we are saying a president can suspend Chief Justice, can suspend other justices of the High Court. What kind of democracy is that? If you give power to a president to suspend Chief Justice and other justices, is that a democracy? Then you have no judiciary. The judiciary belongs to the executive, right? So in the same vein, we're just seeing all the ills in our justice system, etc., and saying that let's make improvement. Oh, I've seen Opuni, I've seen people who have done a thorough review of Opuni's case, and they've said, oh yes, they think that is a persecution, right? And all that. So it will be nice, not just nice, it will help our democracy if the Attorney General pointed out the reasons that the Opuni case is a persecution. It's good. Because people have said that, listen, he didn't do it. He is not the scientist who did the testing. They did the reports, they did different testing, etc. So articulate them. Then that way, it even helps those people.
Right.
The Bible in 1 Corinthians 10:23 says, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. And that's what we are saying. Having said that, on my last thing, to those who are trying to justify the chaos in Parliament, you should know that there's no amount of a wife's verbal abuse that justifies your physical abuse as a man.
Thank you very much. And I was clothed this morning by Kogra Clothing. Call them on 0244-238-341, 0244-238-341. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you for staying with us on Keep On. Have a great weekend. I am Alfred Ocansey. Thank you.
Download OneXBet app and enjoy the variety of sports anytime, anywhere. OneXBet app, at the heart of the game.
La 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 la.